Just started university, and my beautiful tutor turns out to be the mother of my child. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1401, Deception Again and Again. No, the people who came in are Mr. Lin's people. The driver first recognized that these people were Lin Feng's men, but soon he didn't realize that something was wrong. Because another person came out from the back, and that person happened to be the old man of the Lu family. The other party's expression was very cold. Looking at Zhang Yuxi, he was also full of murderous intent. Zhang Yuxi arched his hands to show his respect for his elders, and then said, "I didn't expect that Mr. Lu would come in person. I am really flattered." Mr. Lu smiled at him, and then said to me, "If you don't let my granddaughter go, then I will surprise you even more today." This sentence was completely forcing him to let go of Lu Qingqing, so he had no reason to keep Lu Qingqing any longer, but he was not willing to let the other party go at this time. Because he knew that this was his only bargaining chip. So he said, "No, if I let your granddaughter go, then I simply won't have the chance to leave." Knowing that Zhang Yuxi would not easily let his granddaughter go, Mr. Lu did not have much emotional fluctuations, but continued to threaten him, saying, "Don't you just want to leave this city? It doesn't matter, I can give you a chance to leave, but whether you can finally leave depends on your own ability." But after hearing this, the other party shook his head, somewhat unbelieving what he said, and then said, "Don't tease me, you can't give up the entire family business for your granddaughter. If you do this, it will be equivalent to offending Lin Feng, and then your entire Lu family will be unlucky. You will never allow such a thing to happen. Don't think I don't know. Everyone has been partners and opponents in the business world for so many years, so they know each other well. Mr. Lu knows what kind of person Zhang Yuxi is, and the other party also knows him very well. Now that he has said such words, it is indeed the case. But this is not a person. How could he not know all the words that Mr. Lu wanted to say to the other party? If Zhang Yuxi was released, it would affect the cooperation between his Lu family and Lin Feng. So he just gave the other party a chance. He smiled and said with an unfathomable look, "I only said that I would give you a chance to make you eligible to leave, but I didn't say that I would definitely let you leave successfully. Whether you can leave or not depends on you, isn't it?" But when he heard this, the other party was speechless, and looked at him with some strangeness and said, "Opportunity? What kind of opportunity do you want to give me? Are you really willing to go against Lin Feng for me?" Zhang Yuxi asked very carelessly. On the contrary, the driver next to him kept hesitating and said to him, "Master, let's go first. Otherwise, it's not a solution to stay in this place all the time. We already have a hostage in our hands, so why not make good use of the characteristics of this hostage?" After he said this, Zhang Yuxi glanced at him, and then pinched Lu Qingqing's neck. In this process, Lu Qingqing also slowly woke up. He was already drowsy. And after being knocked unconscious by someone, it was normal for him to wake up now. But when he woke up, he saw that he was being strangled by someone, and his grandfather was looking at him from the opposite side, looking very worried. He screamed in fear. As soon as he screamed, a hand behind him covered his mouth and said with gritted teeth, "Don't move, otherwise I will knock you out again." After the other party said that, he really didn't dare to move. After he heard the other party's voice, he immediately understood that the voice was Zhang Yuxi who had cooperated with him before. So his eyes were full of anger, and he wanted to turn around and punch the other party hard, but he couldn't do it. Because he didn't have the strength. At this time, Zhang Yuxi also realized that he wanted to escape from his control, so he said sarcastically, "You can't escape, I still need to use you to escape your grandfather's ambush against me, so you should be honest, otherwise, I can't guarantee that I won't do anything bad." In front of so many people, Zhang Yuxi could only threaten him. Because he only had this last bargaining chip in his hand. Although he had transferred all the financial resources of all the domestic groups abroad. But this did not guarantee that he could redeem all the wealth after going abroad. So in order to get out safely, he had to use the person in front of him. At this time, Lu Qingqing also felt a burst of fear. She screamed loudly, "Grandpa, save me. Grandpa, I don't want to die." After hearing what he said, Mr. Lu was originally furious. However, after hearing his granddaughter's plea, his anger was a little bit dissipated. He said to him, "Okay, I know. I will definitely save you. Promise me now that you will never disobey me again in the future, understand? I save you again and again, although you are my granddaughter, but you can't always cause trouble for me, understand? It must be said that being the granddaughter of their family is really happy enough. If it were other upper-class families, if such a descendant appeared, then the final outcome will definitely be bad. To have a grandfather like Mr. Lu is also a blessing to guard this life. If he doesn't know how to cherish it, then the other party will really be disappointed. Lu Qingqing also understood how big this matter was this time, so he nodded, tears flowed from his eyes, and then said, Grandpa, I really know I was wrong. I will never make such a mistake again. After all, she is his granddaughter. So when Lu Qingqing finished this sentence, Mr. Lu's heart has gradually let go of his anger. So, he said to him, okay, I forgive you. From now on, you are still my good granddaughter. You have to let me believe you, because you have deceived me too many times before. Because, what Mr. Lu said is indeed true. No matter how many chances he gave his brother before, this guy actually deceived him again and again. In addition, this time he is facing such a big choice. If it weren't for the threat of life, then who knows when Lu Qingqing will be able to come back again. Zhang Yuxi gnashed his teeth when he saw the two granddaughters reconcile. He originally wanted to use the conflict between the grandfather and granddaughter to his advantage. But now, since the two grandfather and granddaughter have reconciled in front of him, they should not turn against each other again. But when they were about to speak, he was suddenly given an arm by a hand. He was startled. Then he saw Lu Qingqing, who was crying, making a gesture to him, probably asking him to stay calm and not to act rashly. Zhang Yuxi's heart skipped a beat. He didn't expect this guy to act out such a wonderful drama in front of him. Even the actors didn't have such great acting skills as hers. Chapter 1402 Endless Troubles. Zhang Yuxi nodded, but he still looked very angry. He pinched Lu Qingqing's neck and said, it's impossible for you to reconcile with me now. Since I can't leave, then you might as well die. Anyway, Lu Qingqing has been forgiven by her grandfather now. So he only needs to use this guy to threaten the old man of the Lu family, and then he can escape. So he sneered and said, you can take me away now. I can give your granddaughter back to you. Old man Lu closed his eyes. He was probably thinking about whether to let this person out. Everything was already very safe, but suddenly his closest person threatened him. He really couldn't do it. Next to him was the person sent by Lin Feng. He kept saying to him, Grandpa Lu, don't hesitate any longer. If these two people are to be arrested, it will be good for the cooperation between us and Mr. Lin. If they are not arrested, there will be endless troubles. You also don't want to see these two guys turn against you and come to kill your granddaughter. If this guy wants to escape, he will definitely not miss any means. The people around him kept persuading Grandpa Lu. Of course, he was not so old that he didn't know what to choose. It was because he knew how to choose that he didn't want to do it. At this time, it was too late to hesitate. He turned around, slapped the man hard, and said loudly, let them go. The man was also stunned, looked at him in disbelief and said, are you sure? Mr. Lu, if you choose this, then you are completely insulting our Mr. Lin's trust in you. If you do this, how can our Mr. Lin be willing to cooperate with you in the future? But then Mr. Lu did not deny what he said, and said to him, then you explain to me clearly, did your general manager Lin ask you to come here to help me or to monitor me? If my approach does not make him feel reasonable and appropriate, then will he not choose to cooperate with me either? You have to know the situation at hand. But if Mr. Lin is willing to help with my family affairs, then naturally I will feel it. If he is unwilling to help, then I won't say much, but if he must intervene, then it would be unethical. The man was slapped in the face, and he looked very unwilling, and then said to him, if you don't intend to cooperate with our Mr. Lin, then you shouldn't provoke us, right? Now the time has come, they want to force the old man of the Lu family to make a choice. Because this person not only has to complete Lin Feng's order, but he should also react for the sake of his own face. After all, he's a well-known figure under Lin Feng, but he was slapped in the face casually. How can he let go of the anger in his heart? So after he finished speaking, Mr. Lu squinted his eyes, looked at him with an unappreciative look and said, I believe that if Mr. Lin was in this place, he would never interfere with a decision made by my family, so you are just a dog under his command? What qualifications do you have to say that? It can be said that what Grandpa Lu said this time was very heavy. There was no face for the other party. It was even more hurtful than the slap just now. Grandpa Lu's words can be said to have directly made the other party speechless. After all, this is the Lu family's family affair. No matter how much he wants to let go, he is always an outsider. What's more, if even Grandpa Lu, as the helmsman, can't deal with him, then their Lu family may really be finished. So they also know their own abilities. No matter how unwilling they are, they can only step aside. At this time, Grandpa Lu said to Zhang Yuxi, who was threatening him, "Now I have agreed, you'll let you go, and you can even return my granddaughter to me." Zhang Yuxi's knife has been on Lu Qingqing's neck, and he laughed and said, "If I return her to you so early now, wouldn't I be a fool? I used her at that time. I will return her to you only after I am completely out of your surveillance." Mr. Lu's eyes moved, and the housekeeper next to him also understood a little. After all, they have been master and servant for many years. So as a master, the old man only needs a slight look and a gesture to make the other party clearly understand what he wants. So the housekeeper understood Mr. Lu's meaning very well, which was to let him deploy the people outside now. At that time, they will be able to stop these two guys. It is impossible to let them go, anyway, if he is asked to leave after tying up his granddaughter. Then, as a family head, Mr. Lu is too cowardly and incompetent. It was okay after the housekeeper went down. Mr. Lu let the housekeeper go down when he was persuading the person on the opposite side to get angry. Otherwise, the other party would definitely react at this time. I don't know what Mr. Lu said to him. "Okay, now I have achieved what you want, you can always let the person go." After looking at the people who were gradually retreating, Zhang Yuxi shook his head. He bypassed the driver, followed behind him, and approached Mr. Lu step by step. At the same time, he told the truth. "But, how do I know if what you said is true? If what you said is not true, and if you have people ambush outside, then I will suffer a loss. So I can't safely hand the person over to you now. If I want to hand the person over to you, it's okay, but I have to wait for a while. Only after they have completely left the magic city, this hostage can play his greatest role. That is now. He will not hand him over no matter what. Because once he hands him over, things will be different." After hearing what the other party said, Mr. Lu shook his head and was not very happy, but he asked people to ambush outside. He is not a vegetarian. As long as these two guys go out, they will be able to tie them all up. Then hand them over to Lin Feng's people. Mr. Lu took a step back, and then said with an indifferent look on his face, "Okay, since you said that you can only let my granddaughter go after you leave, then I promise you. Go ahead, I'll make way for you now." As soon as he finished speaking, he looked at the people behind him with a very determined look. The other party also understood what the old man meant, which was to let everyone stop their actions. But there is no way, they can only act according to his wishes. Chapter 1403, Provocation. Now, Zhang Yuxi was even happier when he saw that his road of hope was right in front of him. After rushing over quickly, he said to Mr. Lu, who was following closely behind him, "Prepare a car for me now. Immediately. Right away. As long as he had this car, it would not be difficult for him to leave." Mr. Lu's granddaughter Lu Qingqing was in his hands and had no way to resist. He could only prepare a car for him as he said. Driving this car, Zhang Yuxi finally had the opportunity to leave the magic city again, and he was extremely happy. He asked the driver who followed him to drive, and then, after they got on the highway, they found that there were several cars behind them following them. After seeing this car, Zhang Yuxi could guess who was following him, so he said viciously, "I knew that old man would not let me go, and he sent people to follow me. Do you think he can catch up with us? Drive faster, don't let their car catch up." The driver nodded and immediately stepped on the accelerator again. Anyway, there were no more vehicles on this road for the time being, so if they drove too fast, they would not be afraid of any car accidents. In addition, they were escaping now, so they didn't care about so much, but they soon felt something was wrong. That is, he felt that the vehicles in front of him had gathered together at some point and formed a row blocking the checkpoint they were about to pass. If they couldn't pass through, they would definitely go to the airport. But at this time, didn't they understand? This row of cars was nothing more than what Mr. Lu had arranged long ago. Since they were now blocked by cars, even if they stayed in the car, they would eventually have to surrender. So, Zhang Yuxi got out of the car without any struggle. However, he still had Lu Qingqing in his hand and didn't care about it, But when he just got out of the car, bang! A bullet pierced his palm directly. When he saw the blood constantly flowing out of his palm, he screamed, "Ah!" After looking at his bloody hand, he stared fiercely at the killer who appeared out of nowhere, holding a gun in his hand. And he fired this shot at him, and his whole hand was shot through by the bullet, not to mention Lu Qingqing, who was originally held hostage by him. At this moment, of course, he fled to his grandfather's side regardless of everything, even though his high heels had sprained his foot, but he didn't care. This was his most dangerous time. Until this moment. Zhang Yuxi realized that he was fooled by Lu Qingqing again. If the other party really wanted to save him, how could he escape at this time? Should he stand on his side? Doesn't he know that if he runs away, he will be finished next? What a pity. After all, it was a mistake. Grandpa Lu also ran over with his granddaughter. He said to the shooter in a cheerful voice, "Keep shooting him. Break not only his hands but also his legs." It was obvious how much Mr. Lu hated Zhang Yuxi. If it weren't for his granddaughter, he wouldn't have done it so hard. Unfortunately, it was useless now. The driver next to him screamed, "Master, what's wrong with you? Master." He rushed over and tried to hold Zhang Yuxi's hand, but was pushed away. He cursed at him, "Can't you even see this? Why didn't you block it for me?" Zhang Yuxi had collapsed, so he didn't know whether what he said was to vent his anger or to really blame the other party. So after hearing this, the driver was still a little unhappy, and even felt sad about the injury. Because he also felt very guilty for not protecting Zhang Yuxi, but he didn't have time to react just now. All this happened too suddenly, so it was too early for him to protect Zhang Yuxi with his skills. How could he be faster than a bullet? But no one would care about what he said. Zhang Yuxi was now disappointed with him. But he still wanted to stay, because taking him away was his last mission. So he said, "Master, it's okay, we still have a chance." Hearing him say that, Zhang Yuxi's eyes moved, and then he pulled him in front of him, and then blocked him in front of him, and then said to him, "Since you are the person sent by my father to show his loyalty, then you come to block the bullets for me, lest they shoot again later. I really have no chance to leave." If he hadn't provoked Lu Qingqing just now, then maybe Mr. Lu wouldn't have done it so cruelly, but now it's not certain, so it's better to keep the Green Mountains alive than to worry about the firewood. The driver next to him was just a tool man to help him leave. Even if he died, he died. What's the point of caring? Being alive is the most important thing. Although his idea was not wrong. Because the driver, as a tool man, originally wanted to do so, but he wanted to do so. Falling in love with a person you protect and being used by him are two completely different things, so he still had a very strong feeling of unfairness in his heart. Why was he willing to die for the other party? But the other party not only doubted him, but also treated him like this. "I know you are not convinced, but there is no way. Who asked you to be sent by my father to protect me? If what you said is right, then you should block the bullet for me now. If you are not, then I will not force you, just go. Anyway, the person they want to catch is me, and you should not be a big threat to you, right?" Although Zhang Yuxi said on the surface that he could let the other party go. But in fact, both of them knew that it was just Zhang Yuxi who said it on purpose. He knew that the other party would definitely not leave, so he used this provocation. Sure enough, after hearing what Zhang Yuxi said, the other party could only grit his teeth. He clenched his fists tightly, took a deep breath from time to time, and told himself that he must not be too excited. Otherwise, this time it really seemed like no one of them could get out. So after taking a deep breath, he decided to agree to Zhang Yuxi's request. After all, he owed Zhang Yuxi's father a life, so he should just repay them. Chapter 1404, The Momentum of the Cuckoo Occupying the Magpie's Nest. Seeing this driver blocking his way, Zhang Yuxi was also very happy. But what he didn't expect was that Mr. Lu didn't let the man shoot again, but gave another order. He laughed and said, "Everyone, go up and smash their cars." After saying this, basically, all the people who were surrounding them in front of them ran up, took the tools in their hands and started to smash the cars. There was only one car left. But now that this car was smashed, how could they have a chance to escape from the Magic City? Zhang Yuxi was furious. He pointed at Mr. Lu and couldn't say a word for a long time. "Just wait, one day I will let you know my strengths and weaknesses." After saying this, the other party also laughed loudly. "It's already this time, I can't escape, and you still tell me that you will wait until later to deal with me. How do you plan to deal with me?" Don't say it first. I'm already an old guy with half of my body in the Lois, and if my Diao-chan is not wrong, then most of your property and your business have been transferred abroad. Do you think your things are all abroad and you want to come back? Or is it that easy to interfere in our domestic business? So what he thought was the future is no longer the future. As for whether he will really retaliate against the Lu family, that is another matter. At this time, the group of people standing behind Mr. Lu, although they came to help the Lu family on behalf of Lin Feng, now is a good time for them to make meritorious deeds. The man was slapped by the angry old man just now, and he is still in pain. But he has no choice but to do his job honestly. The same. He also threatened Zhang Yuxi and said, "You have no way out now. If you kneel down and kowtow to Mr. Lu to admit your mistake, then I can bring you to our general manager Lin to vent my anger. Otherwise, I might just attack you directly. You were shot through a palm just now, and it's hard to say whether it will be a leg or an ear next." The other party said this expressionlessly. The key is that Zhang Yuxi was nervous and anxious looking at all the people around him, and he didn't find any sniper rifles at all, which means that the person was hiding in the dark. He didn't believe that his movements could be faster than the gun, so he gnashed his teeth in hatred. Let him kneel down in front of so many people. This is even more uncomfortable than killing him. You are threatening us. The other party laughed and said, "I say, General Manager Zhang. You have a long reaction arc, right? I was not on WeChat just now. Am I still joking with you? Do you think you still have the chance to regret it now? The other party has already said so. Zhang Yuxi has to make the final decision. Otherwise, what he was about to face was another wound on his body, which was even more painful and fatal to him. So even if a man had gold under his knees, he had to kneel down at this time in order to survive. The driver on the side had no choice. If it was something like replacing the injury, he could help the other party. But kneeling down was such a shameful thing. He couldn't replace it, and even if he was willing, the other party would not be willing. After watching Zhang Yuxi kneel down, everyone around Mr. Lu knew how to do things very well, and laughed at him. The sound was even louder than thunder, so Zhang Yuxi's face showed a blush. He understood that it was because of his weakness and incompetence that these people kept laughing at him. If he could be tougher, he wouldn't have caused the current situation. But it was too late. So he shook his head, stood up and said to the others, "I'm done kneeling now, so you can let me go." Anyway, he couldn't get out. In this case, he only had one last plan. If the last plan could not succeed, then there was really no point in him living. I saw him looking at the driver behind him. But only the two of them could understand this look, because it was related to their previous deployment. After seeing this, Mr. Lu didn't say much. Anyway, everything was going to be settled. So he waved his hand, and several of his men came out from behind him. Then they rushed over and grabbed Zhang Yuxi. They pressed him to the ground and said to him, "You still want to run away? Where are you going to run to?" After asking this, everyone watched them. It was strange that no one saw Zhang Yuxi resist. It seemed that he had accepted his fate. Let Mr. Lu's men beat and scold him at will. Anyway, just now, Zhang Yuxi had exchanged glances with the driver behind him, and agreed that the two of them should carry out the next plan. Zhang Yuxi, who was arrested, just said to Mr. Lu, "Now that you have arrested me, you should release the innocent people around me. This driver is just a useless little character. You won't do any harm if you keep him. Why not let him go?" Mr. Lu didn't say anything yet. Unfortunately, it was Lin Feng's men behind him who showed their dowry. "No, since the people related to you can take us all back, maybe they can find something, don't you think so, Mr. Lu?" At this moment, he said such words, although he represented the people behind him, but it was not giving face to Mr. Lu. It would be difficult for people to forgive him if he made such a mistake. Mr. Lu glanced at him, then said expressionlessly, "I don't think this is appropriate. If we take him back, first of all, it won't be of much benefit to our intelligence. Secondly, I have to think of an excuse to send him to Mr. Lin, which makes me feel very embarrassed, so let him go." There weren't so many excuses, but it happened that the people under Lin Feng were too ungrateful. On weekdays, in Lin Feng's company, they thought they were the most powerful workers. But in front of Mr. Lu, they showed such a proud and arrogant attitude. Naturally, they didn't take this big man who had lied for most of his life seriously. If Lin Feng said it himself, it would be different. But a dog under Lin Feng wanted to ride on his face, How could it be possible? So Mr. Lu still planned to dampen the young man's spirit. Chapter 1405, Drawing a Clear Line. Of course, the group of people standing next to him also knew what Mr. Lu was thinking. But they could only blame themselves for being too impatient. In addition, they did not give Mr. Lu face just now, and threatened him. It would not be good if Mr. Lu went back to complain to Lin Feng, so the man in front of him had a flicker of hesitation in his eyes, and finally fell. He knelt down on one foot and apologized to Mr. Lu, saying, "Grandpa, it was all my fault just now. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize to you now for being rude, but old man, we really can't let the tiger go back to the mountain." The man just now passed information to Zhang Yuxi in his eyes. He must be a problematic person. I must keep him. Although they didn't know what Zhang Yuxi would do next, but this person still hoped to pay attention to the other party's every move. It was a pity that since the old man had made up his mind today, no one else who wanted to do these things would be persuaded to back out. He shook his head and said, "No, I just let him go. I want to see what tricks he can play with me. If he can really escape from my hands and then escape from the magic city, then I really admire him." Maybe it was because after racing for a while, Mr. Lu was in a much more relaxed mood, so his words were inadvertently scary. The demeanor of middle-aged people did not seem like an old man who was already in his twilight years. It was simply too much nonsense. He didn't listen to advice at all. It was really too much. After thinking about it, the other party shook his head fiercely and turned away. Because he didn't know if he would feel more uncomfortable if he continued to listen like this. Unfortunately, as soon as he left, Mr. Lu withdrew his gaze from him. And he already had the answer in his heart, so he said to the person next to Zhang Yuxi, "What do you want to do if you don't leave? Do you still want to stay with your good young master?" After hearing this, the driver quickly took his things and ran away. On the one hand, it was because he really didn't want to stay. Another aspect is that he and Zhang Yuxi have discussed these things. Now he is going to do that thing, but as soon as he is halfway there, he is stared at by someone. To be precise, he is blocked in front of him. Because the distance between the two people is too close, and this direction is just blocked by the driver. The man's face is not able to let Mr. Lu see it very clearly, but the driver is very panicked and stammers, "How did you get here?" Then he heard the other party say speechlessly, "Why can't you come? Don't forget, I asked you to come to my useless son to help him, and now your mission has come." After hearing this, the driver also felt relieved. After all, it is too difficult to work for this father and son. And it just so happens that his appearance gave the driver a chance to leave completely. However, in addition to the driver, the people around Mr. Lu also recognized him. "I didn't expect you to be this guy's father, ha ha ha, it really makes me look at you with new eyes." The man standing in front of everyone happened to be Zhang Yuxi's father, the doctor in Lin Feng's research institute before. But the people sent by Lin Feng still knew him. So they all looked at him in disbelief, and some didn't know what to say. After all, this person was a resigned employee of their institute. If they just got rid of him casually, it would be unfair to this guy who worked for their institute for so many years. "Get out of here quickly. If you don't, we will get rid of you and your son together. You should know our Lin's methods, but he will never show mercy. Those who betray him and his enemies will have the same bad end." The group of people standing in front of Mr. Lu again made Mr. Lu squint his eyes. Because he didn't know whether he should remind his people again, but after thinking about something, he didn't say anything. Because of a very simple reason, the people around him all listened to Lin Feng's orders, so they had to take action against Zhang Yuxi's father. He was not familiar with him. If he took action himself, it would not matter whether he offended the other party or not. In the end, it would cause trouble for himself. So just let them pour it in by themselves. So he stood aside coldly, as long as his granddaughter was in his hands. Lu Qingqing next to him still couldn't figure out what was going on. So she said to her grandfather, "Grandpa, what should we do now?" After being asked by his granddaughter, Mr. Lu glared at him unhappily and said helplessly, "It's all because of you that we came to such a broken place just now and waited for so long to rescue you. Tell me, how should you apologize to me when you go back this time?" When Lu Qingqing heard that she was going to be punished again, she felt bad. She put on a look of begging her grandfather, and then said, "Grandpa, can you not punish me? You said I was not good before, but I have a way to help you and Lin Feng go further in your business. This should be very good news for the Lu family." It's a pity that the old man didn't believe it at all, and said, "You want to lie to me again, right? You and Lin Feng are like water and fire. How can you help the Lu family have business connections with him? Do you think I will believe this?" Lu Qingqing rolled her eyes and said helplessly, "Grandpa, it is precisely because I know that you will definitely not believe this lie, so I am telling the truth. Don't you want to know how to become business partners with Lin Feng?" Grandpa Lu looked at his granddaughter seriously, and then said with disbelief in his eyes, "Are you serious? Do you really think we have the chance to cooperate with Lin Feng?" Lu Qingqing patted her chest very carefully, then nodded and said, "I know that, Grandpa. You must have had the opportunity to cooperate with him. After all, along the way, I also heard that the drug produced by Lin Feng's company has been successfully introduced to the general public, so it is not impossible for Grandpa to cooperate with him on this matter. But I have another plan. If you are willing to forgive me, then we can go back and talk about it." Mr. Lu felt that what he said was fine. So he nodded and said, "Okay, since you have spoken, then Grandpa will give you a chance. Let's go back and talk about it." Lu Qingqing immediately drew a circle with Zhang Yuxi. Chapter 1406 The Best Choice. Lu Qingqing turned around and said to the team sent by Lin Feng in an angry voice, "You must arrest Zhang Yuxi. After taking him back, I have more important information to tell your general manager Lin. This information can help your general manager Lin improve his business. You can do it yourself." Lu Qingqing is indeed the kind of person who changes his mind according to the situation. Anyway, the relationship between him and Zhang Yuxi is just a cooperative relationship. Since there is no value for them now, they might as well use Zhang Yuxi for the last bit of use. After hearing what Lu Qingqing said, the man looked at Mr. Lu with some complacency. It seemed to tell the other party, "Look, since your granddaughter has decided to let us intervene, then you, the head of the Lu family, can't continue to stop us." Sure enough, Mr. Lu still listens to his granddaughter very much. Lu Qingqing said that there is a way to make him have a deeper cooperation with Lin Feng. Then he is willing to give Lu Qingqing this face, but Zhang Yuxi on the opposite side was so angry that he trembled all over. Pointing at Lu Qingqing, with an expression that looked like she wanted to kill him, she said, "You women are really too much? You dare to do this to me? Don't you believe me? I will expose all your affairs." Lu Qingqing looked indifferent, shook her head and said, "Anyway, Lin Feng already knows that you and I have cooperated a lot." Zhang Yuxi looked so aggrieved that he couldn't say anything, which really made Lu Qingqing very happy. Because if he couldn't protect Zhang Yuxi, he had to find a way to get out. Now is the best time, so many people are watching. He always has to let others know his determination. So after he said this, everyone believed that he was willing to stand on the opposite side of Zhang Yuxi, and at this time, the retired old man next to Zhang Yuxi stood up again. Because he knew that if he wanted to save his son, he had to do it himself, and no one else could. He stood in front of Zhang Yuxi, and then said to Mr. Lu, "I know. I'm afraid my reputation alone is not enough to make you release a responsible person, but before leaving the laboratory building, Mr. Lin once promised me a promise. If I make any request, as long as it is reasonable, then he can agree to it. So now is the time for me to make this request. If you don't believe it, then you can call Mr. Lin." This time he was playing with his heartbeat and betting with others. Because there was no such thing at all, he just made it up, but he said it very seriously. Even his son who was standing next to him, Zhang Yuxi, believed that what he said was right. He felt that his father came to save him, and he must have come prepared, and it was absolutely impossible that he didn't have any preparation. So, as soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Yuxi was very happy. And as if he had let out more breath of anger, he stared at Lu Qingqing and the grandson and said, "You didn't expect it. I still have the chance to escape. I said, Dad, you came at the right time. Help me tell these villains, we will take the promise Lin Feng gave you and leave together." Hearing that his stupid son did not forget to mock the person opposite at this time, the old doctor was speechless. He really wanted to slap him, but he couldn't do it. Because once he did that, wouldn't it tell everyone that his son was useless and he was lying? So he could only try not to be embarrassed and say to Grandpa Lu, "What do you think? I believe that although the group of people sent by President Lin can indeed threaten us father and son, it was Grandpa Lu who left with him. I believe that you are the one who has the most power to decide all this among all people." This grandson is flattering Grandpa Lu. If the other party agrees, then it will naturally prove that what he said is true. If the other party does not agree, then today the two of them, father and son, we'll really have to explain here. Although Lin Feng only wanted to deal with Zhang Yuxi. But as his father, how could he watch his unlucky son being killed alive? So this was his last effort as a father. And Zhang Yuxi, who was protected behind him, was also deeply moved. Ever since he knew that his father had left him for a hidden reason, he had become different. He decided that if he could escape this time, he would live a good life with his father. He would come back after a few years and take revenge again. That's right, if you want him to completely let go of the hatred in his heart, then this must be impossible, so it's hard to change a person's nature. Everyone understands this truth. What's more, it's Mr. Lu who is standing opposite their two masters, a group of people. In the end, Mr. Lu looked at such a stubborn doctor. He also respected him. In addition, the other party said so much, even the people sent by Lin Feng had no opinion. If he dared to say so much, who knows if Lin Feng would be angry with him at that time. So he thought that such a difficult question should be thrown to the other party to solve, so he was too willing to give up. Since you already have a promise from Lin Feng, then I naturally have to give you this face, otherwise it would be against Mr. Lin. What do you think? After saying this, he also took a special look at the group of people sent by Lin Feng, and no one of them dared to object. The other people naturally had a trace of disdain on their faces. Originally, I thought that the old man's dislike for Zhang Yuxi should continue to stay. But I still underestimated the thoughts in the heart of this old fox, so one by one, they could only swallow their anger and not speak for the time being. You go. Since you owe Mr. Lin a promise, then consider it as a compensation to you. The person who finally spoke was of course the group of people under Lin Feng. After saying this, Zhang Yuxi and his father and son were very happy. So, they left in a hurry. Because the old doctor didn't know when he would expose his lie, it was the best choice to take his son away from the airport as soon as possible. Chapter 1407 Flattery. After watching the two people walk away from the beginning to the end, Mr. Lu also sighed, and then said to his group of people next to him, "Are you satisfied now? The people have been released." After hearing his slightly sarcastic voice, the other party said in confusion, "Mr. Lu, what are you talking about? Did they say that this is a benefit given to them by General Manager Lin's order?" The black-clothed man in the lead didn't quite understand what Mr. Lu said, but he always felt that it was a bit strange. The old doctor, who was very confident just now, suddenly recalled in his mind that something was wrong, and it seemed that he finally reacted a little bit. He was interrupted by Mr. Lu next to him, who said to the other party, "Do you remember now? The other party is very likely lying." The man in black didn't quite believe it, shook his head, and subconsciously refuted, saying, "How is this possible? If he still keeps his word, then he can't just use Mr. Lin's order as an excuse, because he subconsciously thinks that this old doctor who used to do things for their families, Mr. Lin, would not be so unethical." However, he immediately felt something was wrong. Although the other party had done things for Lin Feng before, now in order for his son to escape, of course he would do anything. How can a small thing like lying be considered a big deal? So the man in black immediately became very panicked, took out his mobile phone and called Lin Feng. Lin Feng answered the phone quickly, and the voice came, "What happened? Did you help the old man catch the man?" But after he finished speaking, the man in black began to tremble all over, and said tremblingly, "Boss Lin, it's like this, the old doctor in your original laboratory building that we just met has retired. He is Zhang Yuxi's father." When he said this, he couldn't help but pause. Lin Feng asked him back, "Then what happened, and then how did you do?" Basically, Lin Feng had guessed what would happen later. Sure enough, the other party answered in a lower voice, "We were deceived. Boss Lin, I don't want to tell you such a bad news, but it did happen. The man said that he has a promise from you. He said that as long as he makes any request, you can agree to it, because this is the reward for his work for you for so many years." After the man in black finished speaking, there was no sound from Lin Feng in his mobile phone for a long time. If he didn't know that the phone was still connected, he would probably think that Lin Feng hung up the phone. But in fact, he understood that Lin Feng was silent. Lin Feng is not a boss who likes to lose his temper, but once he is really angry, then the people under him will also suffer. Sure enough, Lin Feng's voice in the next second, although it can't be said to express how much anger, still made the black-clothed man shudder. The other party said, "I don't care how you believe such a stupid word, but I will give you half a day at most to find the person back to me." As for Zhang Yuxi's father, you let him go. After all, the old doctor has been a researcher for Lin Feng for so many years, so if you want to get to the bottom of it, it will be a bit ugly. But Zhang Yuxi is constantly challenging his bottom line again and again. If Lin Feng lets him go, then the other party will definitely come back. Lin Feng is unwilling to face this situation, so his order is also very simple. The black-clothed man closed his eyes in despair. Now every father and son have escaped. If you send someone to chase them now, it will definitely be difficult. Moreover, it is even more difficult to catch people again. Since the two guys know that they are lying, their means of evasion will definitely not be too low. After hanging up the phone, Mr. Lu next to him cast a half-smiley look, probably wanting to see a joke. The man in black looked cold, and he asked in a questioning tone, "Grandpa, did you already know that the man was lying to me?" Mr. Lu answered calmly, saying, "I can't say that I knew it a long time ago, but I guessed. In fact, anyone with a little bit of brains should know that the man is so sure of what he said. Young man, it seems that you still have a long way to go." The man in black almost vomited blood. It was obvious that the other party deliberately didn't tell him the situation, so he didn't know why he let the man run away until now. But his questioning was useless, because the old man would not listen to him anymore. After all, the disaster was not caused by him, and the old man was not so stupid to respond. Otherwise, he would be blamed together. You. The man in black was angry with Mr. Lu. He could only wave his hand and said to the people behind him, "All of you follow me and chase after him." Grandpa Lu just watched everyone leave leisurely. He patted his granddaughter on the shoulder and said, You have to learn more in the future. Did you see that Grandpa's move just now completely resolved the possible conflicts between us and Lin Feng?" As a bystander, Lu Qingqing also saw it clearly at the time and knew how her grandfather calculated the person just now. However, it was also the other party's fault for being disrespectful to her grandfather. Although the Lu family's business and positioning are not as popular as Lin Feng's, and their background is not as huge as Lin Feng's, the other party is just a lackey under Lin Feng. But if someone dares to be so rude to his grandfather, then the other party can only bear the consequences himself. So Lu Qingqing immediately turned into a flatterer and said to his grandfather, "Grandpa, you were so powerful just now. I knew that you would definitely be able to learn from me. I was scared just now. If it weren't for you coming, maybe I would be kidnapped by them." He didn't expect that he would really sleep for so long after the things in the wine he drank before. He believed that it was definitely not. Then they must have added some seasonings to the wine, so he would be unconscious until now. But now that he has been rescued, he doesn't care about the previous things. Grandpa Lu shook his head, touched his hair, and said to him, "Okay. I know what you are thinking, girl. Go back first and find a doctor to see you. Are there any other places in your body that are uncomfortable? What if there is something else in your body? If it hurts you, I will be really sad." After all, Grandpa Lu didn't want to send the young man away, so he didn't bother to argue with his granddaughter at this time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1408, Come Back. Another car arrived outside the villa. Both Lu Qingqing and Mr. Lu looked in that direction, because they were a little worried that the people coming at this time would change the situation again. But when they saw the person coming down, only the two of them breathed a sigh of relief at the same time, because the person now turned out to be Lu Qingqing's brother, the eldest son of the Lu family. But after he got off the car, he saw that his grandfather and his sister looked disappointed when they saw him. He scratched his head helplessly, then walked over and smiled a little silly and said, "Why do you see me with such an expression? Am I a little unhappy to come here? And you, sister?" "I rushed here at great risk." Lu Qingqing rolled her eyes at him and said, "What kind of danger can you take? Isn't it just running from home to this place? You still say so much nonsense, it's speechless." "I didn't expect his sister to talk to him like this." The eldest son of the Lu family cried and complained to him, "Sister, you really wronged me. Don't you know that Grandpa told me before he went out that I couldn't go out, so I ran out secretly?" After saying this, he didn't dare to look at his grandfather next to him. Nodding, then spreading his hands and said, "Okay, since you came so far to see me just now, I tell you that everything is fine now, how can you go home? The eldest son of the Lu family touched his head and was still obedient to his sister, but still a little confused and said, then you have to tell me, why did you see me look so lost just now? In response to his misunderstanding, Lu Kingking just laughed and said, that's because you scared Grandpa when you came just now. He thought it was Lin Feng who followed him, otherwise I would be in trouble. The eldest son of the Lu family touched his head. He also felt that this matter was a bit embarrassing. If it was really someone sent by Lin Feng, then he might not be able to hide it from the other party. But fortunately, nothing happened now. Lu Kingking said to the two of them, let's get in the car first. Lu Kingking was very happy to finally be reunited with her family. After getting in the car, Grandpa Lu said to the brothers and sisters, you go back first. I have to meet up with a group of people just now in a while. Lu Kingking held his grandfather's hand with some concern and asked, but didn't Grandpa's group of people chase Zhang Yuxi and his group by themselves? Why do we have to follow them? Obviously, Lu Kingking is a little afraid of being associated with Lin Feng now. But Grandpa Lu said to him, it's because of the trouble you caused that you still want me, an old man, to apologize to you. So you and your brother go back first. As long as Grandpa is here, Lin Feng won't bother you this time. Grandpa Lu said to his granddaughter and grandson very confidently. The people of the Lu family were sent to continue tracking the father and son who had already fled. Now the car they were driving has reached the last juncture, that is, as long as they cross a river area, they can reach the airport. But it is easy to have accidents when driving on such a bridge, that is, the bridge is flat on all sides. If you want to hide, it is difficult to be seen by people in the field of vision. In the car, Zhang Yuxi said to his father, if it weren't for you, maybe I would really be caught this time. I owe you. Zhang Yuxi really felt guilty facing his father. He had already failed his father's painstaking efforts. Now the only thing he could do was to take his father and flee abroad with him. The old doctor shook his head, and his gray hair looked a little elegant. Child, what are you talking about thanking or not thanking? You are my son, remember this. Although we had a very unpleasant past, it's all over. Since Mr. Lin fired me, I thought I should come back to accompany you. But I didn't expect that I had no news from you for so long. I just came back now. When I heard that you had offended someone, I could only do my best to help you escape. The more his father talked about this matter, the more Zhang Yuxi felt really guilty. If it weren't for the matter with his secretary, there wouldn't be such a misunderstanding here now, so he shook his head and said, it's okay, father. We can make a comeback after we go abroad now. But the old doctor frowned deeply, and said with a look of disapproval, son, don't interrupt me anymore. To tell you the truth, if you keep saying that, I guess as a father I won't be able to protect you for much longer. You should know the gap between you and Lin Feng. He didn't want to touch you before, just because of my face and your industry. If he touches you before he competes with him, it will cost him a lot of losses. But it's different now. If you know the news in the past 2 days, you should know that after his batch of drugs came out, he has obtained the cooperation of major companies. They all want to have a cooperative relationship with Lin Feng, and even some foreign experts have found someone to investigate Lin Feng's dark background. After all, he is an insider. Although he has resigned from Lin Feng's laboratory building, he still knows a lot about the things in this circle. So after he finished speaking these words to his son, the latter was also confused and said in disbelief, how is this possible? I think even if his medicine is very powerful, it is impossible for him to obtain cooperation from so many companies within 3 days, and let some foreign business tycoons also notice him. Although he knew that what his father said was right, he couldn't help but feel jealous in his heart. Such an amazing world research invention. It turns out that only Lin Feng can enjoy this benefit. And now he is fleeing everywhere like a drowned dog. Not to mention now, he is finally going to the airport after thousands of tortures. He really sighed, turned around and said to his father, I thought of another way. I think if we can achieve it, we may be able to defeat Lin Feng. Chapter 1409, Many People and Many Eyes. The old doctor had confessed in front of Lin Feng before. He said that he would never be an enemy of Lin Feng again, so he rejected his son without thinking and said, Son, you should be more sober. You are not his opponent. You know this matter well. Since Dad has rescued you, why do you have to go back and die? Have you forgotten that you don't know martial arts and can't beat them, and your network of contacts is not as wide as his? When talking about this, Zhang Yuxi was also very helpless, But he still said unwillingly, "No, Dad, I still have my own plans. I don't think you should say that to me." He immediately parked the car on the bridge and made a phone call. While waiting for the other party to answer the phone, he said to the old doctor, "This is the last person I have left in the country. If he can help me achieve my goal, then he has dedicated enough to me in this life. If he can't achieve it, then I won't force it." Although the old doctor didn't know which last person his son had left, seeing his resolute look, he couldn't say much. Because he knew that even if he said it, the other party would not believe it. He would not agree with his idea, so he waited for him silently. As his father, the old doctor really wanted to know what his son's last contact was who could help him get the drugs in Lin Feng's company. After thinking about it, he finally locked on the people in their research institute. Before, Xiao Chen and his sister Xiao Rou, who had an accident, should not be the second sincere target. After all, they have worked for Lin Feng again, and it is impossible for them to betray Lin Feng for the second time. Then there are only the other people left. The reason why one of them suddenly popped up in Dr. Brain's mind is very simple, that is, because the other party can go out on the street from time to time with a brand name bag on his back. And the salary of the research institute cannot support him to change a new bag every month, so this person is problematic. At the beginning, everyone thought he had a good boyfriend. After all, researchers like them would not look down on those ordinary nouveau riche and rich second generation, but it was not until now that he realized that it is very likely that the female researcher at the time was actually with his son. Otherwise, what happened to the extra money he had every month? It was just that the other party hid it very well and was not discovered by Lin Feng. Now that it has come to such a critical moment, if he cooperates perfectly with his son Zhang Yuxi, then he doesn't know what will happen. The old doctor sighed. This scene was not what he wanted to see. One is his former boss, and the other is his son. No matter which side he wants to help, the other side will have opinions. What's more, it is difficult for him to do it in the end. He is so old and wants to live a good life abroad with his son. Unfortunately, this last goal seems to be quite uncertain. But he didn't say anything discouraging. Because he knows that now that Zhang Yuxi has done all this, no one lives by his side. Even the driver just now couldn't do it and bring too many benefits to Zhang Yuxi. So, if he, as a father, does some sarcastic things again, I'm afraid their father-son relationship will not be very good. After the call was connected, Zhang Yuxi said to the female employee on the phone, "Have you got the stuff now?" This is why, at the beginning, Zhang Yuxi did not contact the female employee directly to bring him a copy of the medicine, because this person was his last trump card. If he used it at that time, he would never have it again. The situation at that time was not so bad that Zhang Yuxi would take the risk and use up his last trump card. Now she is leaving the country, so if she doesn't use this trump card now, she will never have a chance to use it in the future. So, he asked the other party to bring him a copy of the medicine in Lin Feng's laboratory building. The other party also nodded. Because now Lin Feng's entire attention is on Zhang Yuxi's escape, how could he still pay attention to the fact that there is another person in the laboratory who is Zhang Yuxi? The other party said in a somewhat earnest voice, "Mr. Zhang, I have put that unique medicine in a safe. I will send a courier now and send it to you. Don't worry, as long as you can successfully reach the airport, someone will hand it to you in person. That person is absolutely reliable." She wanted to work hard for Zhang Yuxi. But he also understood that going to the airport in person and having someone send him to the airport were two completely different concepts. If he was found out, he would lose his job in the laboratory building. He was still thinking beautifully now. He could help Zhang Yuxi and continue to work in Lin Feng's laboratory building. At most, his life would be a little worse in the future. But it was really hard to find a job like this. Zhang Yuxi also understood the other party's difficulties. He had spent a lot of money to support this person long before, and it was time for him to work for him. But even if he didn't deliver the things to him in person, but called someone else, it didn't matter, because he was about to arrive at the airport. "Okay, I'll call you after I get to the airport." The other party's sweet voice replied, "That's great. Mr. Lin must not have thought that I would be on your side, so he relaxed a lot of vigilance in the laboratory. But there are too many people here, and if I do things too much, I will be discovered. That's why I ask someone to give it to you. You shouldn't mind it, right?" Things have come to this point. What else can he say? Zhang Yuxi said a few words in a hurry and hung up the phone. Turning around, He saw his father looking at him with a look of wanting to say something but stopping. He simply waved his hand and said, "I know what you want to say, Dad, but you'd better not say it." Okay. Since his son has his own ideas, the old doctor doesn't plan to intervene anymore. But he still has one thing to tell his son clearly. He said, "If you really get the new drug developed by Lin Feng's company, what are you going to do?" Chapter 1410 Prohibited Items. Although the old doctor would not help his son do bad things, he still had to know more or less to avoid any problems in the future. With his professional level and having worked in Lin Feng's laboratory for so long, he would definitely be able to help. However, Zhang Yuxi obviously felt that his father might want to set him up, so he did not intend to tell his father the real situation. He shook his head and said, "Dad, don't worry so much. Let me handle this kind of thing. Aren't you just a scientific researcher? Even if you ask, you can't help me with all the things in our business. In addition, we are running for our lives now. Although I am planning for the future, don't worry, your son is not so useless. I will not give up my targeting and ambitions against Lin Feng until the last moment." His son has grown up. He also knows that he makes his own decisions on everything, so he is not in a position to say more. After continuing to drive, he arrived at the airport. "How is it? Dad, have you packed all your luggage?" "Well, don't worry. I'm just an old man, what's the big deal about my luggage? But you haven't lived abroad for a long time, you have to be well prepared this time." The two of them had some free time to chat at this time. But as a father and son who haven't seen each other for many years, it's still a bit embarrassing to say such words. Zhang Yuxi said, "Dad, in fact, I am quite familiar with foreign countries recently. I just came back from a business trip in another ocean." Hearing his son say such words, the old doctor could only smile to hide his embarrassment. "After not meeting for such a long time, I really don't know what to talk about. Dad, look, there are people over there. Isn't it the person we are waiting for?" Zhang Yuxi suddenly saw someone around him, and he was still timid. The old doctor also looked over, and when he saw the person, he was also slightly stunned, because he felt that this person was very familiar. Isn't that someone who has been to their laboratory before? He was with Lin Feng at that time. Could it be that his silly son was deceived? He hurriedly said, "Silly son, let me go with you to have a look, otherwise, I'm afraid that thing is fake." After all, they have already arrived at the airport, and Zhang Yuxi also hopes that he can be more careful. He said, "Okay, then you go with me, Dad." When the two of them just walked in a little bit, they suddenly found that something was wrong with this person. "Open your box and let us see." Faced with the conditions proposed by Zhang Yuxi, the man also obeyed. Sure enough, he opened the box for the father and son to see. But there was no plot as they guessed, because there was indeed a box of medicine inside. After seeing the things, Zhang Yuxi was also very happy to say to his father, "Dad, you see, I said that my people will not lie to me, right?" After hearing what he said, the old doctor really couldn't say anything more. Because no matter what he said, he was deceiving his son. Anyway, he didn't want to believe it. The person who used to be by Lin Feng's side suddenly became the person who delivered goods to his son. Isn't this too magical? Okay, I've given you everything, so I'll leave first. After the man finished speaking, his eyes looked a little bit wrong, but Zhang Yuxi didn't think much about it. They were going to board the plane soon. "Dad, the driver's 3 plane tickets have been bought back, let's go." He took a last look at the place where he was now. He believed that he would not come back for a short time after leaving. As for Lin Feng and others, what does it have to do with him? Well, okay, let's go. What else could the old doctor say? Of course, he left with his son, hoping that he had just thought too much, right? "Wait, sir, we found electronic products in your box. Please open this box and let us check it out." Who knew that when they were going through security check just now, they said that there was something else in the box containing the medicine. He was still very clear whether there was anything, but if others wanted to see it, there was nothing he could do, so he could only open it. "Okay, but you must act quickly, otherwise it will delay our time," Zhang Yuxi reminded them unhappily. The security personnel have been working here for such a long time that they can tell at a glance what the status of the passengers coming and going here is. So they can also understand that these two people should be of high status. So they said with a smile, "Two gentlemen, please wait a moment. Let's check what is in this box that violates the regulations. Maybe you brought it in accidentally." After all, there has been a precedent, so the two staff members are more reasonable. After that, they began to sort out the things in the box. When they found two very small detectors in it, the two took them out. Then they said to Zhang Yuxi, "Sir, you took out these two things from your bag. Excuse me, are these what you put in before? These two things are already beyond the regulations that can be brought into the airport, so it is impossible to put them in again and bring them in with the medicine in the box." Originally, Zhang Yuxi thought that some ingredients in the medicine were detected, so they could not be allowed to pass. But when he heard that it was only because of two very small magnets that their progress was affected, he waved his hand somewhat unhappily and said, "You can do whatever you want with these two things. It has nothing to do with me. I don't know when they were put in this box." After hearing this, the staff nodded and planned to take the two items and pack them in a bag. However, another staff member came up to stop him and said to him, "Sir, you can't leave yet, because now you need to cooperate with our investigation. After logging in, you can leave. You must record all the items in your box and your connection with these items. Otherwise, we will have a hard time explaining it." After hearing this, Zhang Yuxi just felt that it was very troublesome, and it seemed that there was no such rule before. What is going on? Chapter 1411 Grandmaster Level Master. Seeing him so impatient, the staff patiently explained, "It's like this, sir. We have been inspecting very strictly recently because several things happened in the airport. The whole company has been trained and rectified before. This matter has also affected our work, so sir, I hope you can cooperate with our investigation." The other party has already spoken so politely, and he is about to leave this magic city. Zhang Yuxi still has some expectations in his heart. But why does he feel that the more he leaves, the more trouble he will have? But he also sees these two people talking to him kindly. If he doesn't listen, then the other party should take tough measures. At that time, he still has just a. He will really solve this matter as quickly as possible. He nodded and said, "Okay, then you should quickly complete all the procedures." There was no way. Zhang Yuxi could only ask his father to wait for him, and then he put on sunglasses and observed the surroundings. No suspicious people appeared, so he shouldn't be caught. There was less than a cup of tea left before the registration time, so he had to hurry. But the registration was pretty fast. It was over in a few minutes. The staff still smiled and sent him in. "Let's go, father, we should go in." After saying this, he was about to leave with two boxes, and at this moment, a voice came from behind them. "Stop right there, don't run. What's going on? Why could someone catch up?" He turned around and saw that the other party's speed was even faster than that of a sprinter. This speed was directly from the outside of the hall, which was nearly 500 meters away, and he was running towards indirectly. And the voice was so loud that he could hear the roar even from such a long distance. The key is that Zhang Yuxi can clearly feel that the other party came for him, then he is really unlucky. It's over. "Son, what's going on? Why is someone chasing you? Have you been discovered?" "No way, how could I be discovered? The person I called before would definitely keep it a secret from me, and his phone couldn't be tracked by other people." But the more he explained, the more he didn't understand why the person who appeared in this place now looked like someone who wanted to take him away, and the opponent's shooter should have at least reached the level of a grandmaster in martial arts. It was even more powerful than the previous group of people combined. Now, let alone defeating the opponent and continuing to board the plane, even if he ran away from the opponent, he didn't have the strength to do so. After sighing, he turned around and said to his father, "Why don't you go first? What's wrong with you, kid? I'm your father, how can I think you can run away alone? Besides, if you're not here, what's the point of me going abroad?" After the old doctor finished all this, he said to the driver who was holding their luggage next to them, "What, are you still watching? That person is so dangerous, why don't you quickly stop him for your young master?" But the driver looked at his young master and his old master with some fear. To be honest, even they were all afraid of this master-level expert. How could he possibly stop him? Isn't it like a mantis trying to stop its arm? But even if he wanted to refute, he didn't say anything in the end. Because his life was saved by the old doctor. Although the other party had a lot of use after saving him, his intention was to repay this life. So he nodded and said, "Okay, I will stop him now, but you and the young master should get on the plane quickly. As long as you get on the plane, he won't dare to mess around anymore." But seeing the other party's fast speed, he was really worried about himself. If he rushed up now, would he be torn in half and thrown away by the other party on the spot? Thank you for your hard work. Let's go, son. The old doctor was also a man who made decisions immediately. He knew that if the three of them stayed in this place, they would not be able to leave, since he originally wanted to take his son Zhang Yuxi to live abroad. Even if a driver must be sacrificed now, he must be able to bear this. Otherwise, none of them can escape. Wouldn't that be even more tragic? The old doctor pulled his son Zhang Yuxi onto the plane without saying a word, but what they never expected was that within a few seconds of talking, the other party had already run to them from hundreds of meters away in an instant. Where else do you want to run to? I'm here to catch you, the guy who wants to escape from the country. Come back with me obediently, otherwise you will suffer on the way. The Grandmaster, who looked stronger in front of him, grabbed Zhang Yuxi's arm directly, just like lifting a chicken in the air, and he didn't need any strength to speak very powerfully. Even Zhang Yuxi, who was used to seeing those powerful people in the mall, would be scared by such a person and said loudly, "What do you want to do? Let me go quickly." The old doctor next to him also loved his son very much. He stared at the other party with an old eye but didn't dare to do anything. First, he was afraid that he would be beaten by the other party instead of being defeated. Second, because his son was in the other party's hands, who knew if he moved like this, the other party would do something dangerous. He could only anxiously say, "Let go of my son quickly. What do you want? If you want money, we can give it to you." But this person is a master of the Grandmaster level. Even if someone asked him to go out of the mountain, the money he gave was at least 6 figures. How could he be short of money? So the other party sneered and directly lifted Zhang Yuxi up, and threatened the old doctor, "I see that you are very old, so I won't bother with you. But don't think that you can save your son this way. Bribing me with money, do you think it's possible?" But the more this happened, the more the old doctor didn't know what to do. If even money can't satisfy the guy in front of him, they only have one thing, and he thinks the other party must want to know very much. That thing must be the potion related to the other party's practice, because this potion is in their box, so if the thing is not taken out, this guy should not leave. But this thing was what he had gone through so much trouble to get. If he just handed it over, would it be a waste of his son's efforts? So when he was hesitating, Zhang Yuxi started yelling, "Let me go, you idiot, put me down quickly. Otherwise, I won't let you go." Chapter 1412, Overestimating One's Capacity. Zhang Yuxi was allowed to yell in the air. Everyone in the airport also saw this scene. The 2 staff members before also called their airport security team over. After seeing the people, the security guard came up with a swagger and said seriously, "Please put down the gentleman in your hand, otherwise we will attack you." After all, in such a territory, he still has the right to say such words. But the master of the Grandmaster in front of him sneered after hearing it, and slapped the security guard with a slap, and the other party was beaten down. Oh my god, this guy is so scary. He actually knocked down the captain of the security team with a slap. You know, the other party is also a Sanda champion. Otherwise, how could he come to work in such a place? This is a very important place, but he couldn't even beat a single move. The security guards behind were all scared one by one. The great master sneered and said, "Don't think that anyone can save him now. I want to take him away, and no one can stop me." After that, he didn't want to continue to harm others, so as not to attract too much attention from the people here, and it would be difficult for him to get away. After all, he didn't want to cause too much trouble now, so when he said that, many security guards were scared and didn't dare to move forward. But at this time, Zhang Yuxi seemed to have a cramp, and he said to everyone, "You can't let him go. I bought insurance from you. If you let this dangerous person go, then you will have to pay money, and you will be fired by your company. Do you want to be fired?" His threat was still useful to many people, so everyone started to stalemate. You really listen to this kid's nonsense? Do you think you can really stop me? Humph. After he finished speaking loudly, he stomped his feet hard on the ground, and instantly the ground raised a burst of dust. Everyone suddenly saw a big hole in the ground that he had stepped on with his feet. Everyone was shocked. Some timid people had already screamed and ran away, because they knew they couldn't bear it. If they intervened, they would probably be unlucky. The Grandmaster continued to carry Zhang Yuxi with his hands, just like carrying a child, and carried him out of the waiting room in front of him. All the passers-by hid far away after seeing this scene. He seemed to have a great sense of accomplishment. Seeing these ordinary people in front of him, it was like seeing a monster, and they could hide far away. No one dared to provoke him. This is his power. There are not many warriors like him in this world. After all, if the Grandmaster personally came to capture a person with no martial arts skills, Zhang Yuxi should be content if this was said, but Zhang Yuxi was caught by him during this period of time. Suddenly he thought of something and said silently, "If I guess correctly, the person who delivered the box before deliberately put those two things in the box in order to give your friend time, and then let you rush over and catch me. Not bad, I just realized the same idea now. If I knew it earlier, I would check whether there is any problem with this box." In fact, even if Zhang Yuxi found something wrong with the box just now, he would not stop to check, because he knew he didn't have so much time. The Grandmaster sneered and said, "Yes, you are right. The person who delivered the box just now was originally one of ours, just to delay your time. Don't worry, I won't touch the two people around you except you. After all, I can't get more money if I catch them back." The Grandmaster carried him and kept moving forward, and came to a black car. The car had just been opened outside, and at this time Zhang Yuxi didn't know when he took out a knife from his body. His hand slipped, the Grandmaster cried out in pain, and then had to let go. At this time, Zhang Yuxi held the knife to his neck and said to them, "If you want to take me away, then you can only bring back a corpse." The Grandmaster just covered his wound, and after being stunned for a moment, he came to his senses and couldn't help laughing and said, "Do you really think your life is so valuable? Even if I bring back a corpse, I can get the remaining money for my appearance. Instead, you lost your life? I advise you not to think about escaping from my hands. I want to catch up with you, it's just a matter of minutes." This sentence is indeed true. Zhang Yuxi can't run faster than others, can't beat others, and even his relationship can't rival others. Of course, Zhang Yuxi's real purpose is not to threaten the other party with his own life. He just wants the other party to let him go, but now it seems that it's not possible. At this time, a man ran out from the entrance, shouting loudly while running, "Master, hurry up. I'll hold you back." He only saw the man who ran out. Wasn't he the driver just now? For the sake of his opponent, he was really fighting hard. The Grandmaster laughed. He also knew that there were reckless people like the driver. If he rushed up, he would be hit more or less, and then he simply threw the opponent aside and said, "There are really not many people like you who overestimate their own abilities. If you think you want to die for him, then I will fulfill your wish." After the Grandmaster finished speaking, one of his hands formed a claw shape. He aimed at the head of the person coming from the side and grabbed it. Seeing that the other party was about to be broken by his hand, a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, because he knew very well what would happen next. The next second, sure enough, he saw this very reckless driver rushing up and directly stuffed his head to himself, while crushing the head in one go. The other party took a bomb in his hand and threw it into his bowl. Chapter 1413. The Plague God finally left. At this time, of course, the Grandmaster reacted instinctively and wanted to throw both guys out. But it was too late. After he threw Zhang Yuxi out, he was tied up by the driver. There was a very loud explosion, which directly caused the Grandmaster to be broken and bleeding. However, the opponent's skills were still very good, so even in such a big explosion, he only hurt his skin and flesh, but not his bones. So he was very angry at the driver who attacked him without knowing his own strength, and kicked him hard, kicking his body nearly a few hundred meters away. Only then did he see that the person he had caught before had already been released. He said to Zhang Yuxi, who ran away, with some anger, "No matter how far you run, I will catch you again." After all, there was still so much time before boarding, so he didn't think he had no chance to catch up with the other party. But just when he was about to take action, he saw a group of people coming towards him, pointing their weapons at him and not letting him leave, and said to him, "Sir, you have caused such a big scene here. Are you going to continue?" It seems that he must have offended ordinary forces, so he could only breathe a sigh of relief and said to the other party, "I advise you not to care about this matter. I am here on behalf of Lin Feng. You should have heard of Lin Feng. In the past few days, he has been very popular in every case. I don't believe you haven't heard of it." After hearing this, everyone became surprised. Because of course everyone has heard of Lin Feng's reputation. Even ordinary people present know that all the headlines in the past few days are about Lin Feng, this great businessman. The other party is indeed a university student, which is the most shocking thing for everyone. But now this man who destroyed the airport and injured people is actually related to Lin Feng, and he came on behalf of Lin Feng, which makes them feel very incredible. One of them said, "It's impossible, it's absolutely impossible that Lin Feng sent you. How could he do such an impolite thing? So many people were injured. As the boss of a company, he would never see such a thing happen. Yes, you are definitely insulting Lin Feng. I don't think what you said can be believed at all." Basically, many people felt that what he said was unreliable, and even he himself couldn't find another excuse to deny it. But he could only say this matter under the banner of Lin Feng, so he laughed and said, "There's nothing you can do if you don't believe it, because I am indeed here on behalf of Lin Feng. You don't believe it, it only shows that you don't know him well enough. Do you know how important the identities of these two guys today are? They are in Lin Feng's business team. If they can catch him back, it will be a great benefit to Lin Feng. But the key is that this Grandmaster actually told Lin Feng's secret in order to escape the pursuit in front of him. It is impossible for others to believe it, but it will make others think that he is talking nonsense and is just to frame Lin Feng. Once such an idea came into being, everyone had no good impression of him. Not only did they not believe him, but they also began to speak ill of him. The main reason was that he was lying, and it was very likely that someone from the village had hired him to deal with Lin Feng. Otherwise, why would he say such ugly words? I think this person has a big problem. I don't believe that Lin Feng would do such a thing to hurt others and ruin his reputation. Even if Lin Feng wants to deal with a business rival, he must have his own correct method. I think so too, so this guy in front of him is just talking nonsense to avoid arrest. Faced with everyone's unwillingness to believe that Lin Feng is such a person, this old man has nothing to say, but he has already scared many people at the moment. In addition, it is very likely that a third-party force will come to surround the airport in a while. If he doesn't leave, he may get into big trouble. It is not difficult to defeat those who are against him with his strength. But the difficulty is that after this incident happens, it may cause Lin Feng to clean up the trouble behind him, which is commonly known as wiping the other party's ass. If Lin Feng is unhappy at this time, I'm afraid he has no place to stay in the entire demon city, so he turned around and left after glaring at Zhang Yuxi. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. This security team was very powerful, and they felt that they could unite to deal with the Grandmaster. But they were also very scared. Some people are still trembling, because they are afraid that the other party will accidentally crush them to death. You have to know the strength of the other party, that is a Grandmaster. That plague god is finally gone. I was really scared just now. If there weren't so many people just now, I would have been afraid that he would have attacked me again. It's scary to look at him. How could he be someone sent by Lin Feng? Since Lin Feng has done such a large amount of medicine to prolong life, it's impossible for him to do such a thing that hurts people's lives. Actually, I don't think so. After all, Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi are business rivals. It's not surprising that they do anything. What's more, if something happens to Zhang Yuxi this time, then he will never be able to turn around and attack Lin Feng's company. After all, most of those present are business people. They more or less understand some things in the business world. Everyone knows what kind of relationship there is between Lin Feng and Zhang Yuxi. In addition, Zhang Yuxi is running away in a hurry. It's not that it's impossible to see that the other party is really an enemy that Lin Feng wants to deal with. However, most people think that someone like Lin Feng will not attack someone who no longer poses any threat. At this time, Zhang Yuxi breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, these people appeared in time and saved him. He hurried to the plane and reunited with his father, the old doctor. Chapter 1414 Commonplace. His father, the old doctor, was also very excited and held his hand. After checking that his son had no injuries, he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Son, luckily you are fine. Otherwise, I would have been scared." As an old father, he was really too worried, so he kept comforting his son, fearing that his son was scared just now. After all, his son had been living a life of luxury since he was a child and had never suffered any hardship. Except for this failure. Escaped abroad with him, in many other things, his son was still very good, but it was normal for an old father to care about his life safety. Zhang Yuxi said to him, "Don't worry, Dad, I'm definitely fine. After all, I have a tough life. Even if Lin Feng wants to kill me, it depends on whether his men have the ability to do it. Now there are so many people, and he actually took action here. Is it really his idea? Ha ha ha, it's so stupid. If it were me, I wouldn't do it. After hearing his son talk about Lin Feng, the old doctor also sighed. Because he felt that he could do nothing. His son had done something wrong. Logically, he should bear the consequences of such a thing. However, he always felt that if his son continued to fight with Lin Feng like this, it is estimated that even after getting on the plane, there is no way to leave this city. After all, there are too many reasons to keep this plane. However, he only dared to think so in his heart, but did not dare to say it out loud. Because he was afraid that if he said it out loud, it would make his son unhappy, but he never expected that even if he did not say it out loud, he had already made this idea come true. Dear passengers, now an emergency message is interrupted. Due to malfunction of the plane, the flight of passengers on the plane is temporarily cancelled. Please get off the plane now. After hearing this, Zhang Yuxi and his father were both dumbfounded. They did not expect that such a thing would happen. It was simply that God was against them. Zhang Yuxi shook his head, still looking like he could not recover. Even though all the passengers in front of him, behind him and around him were complaining about getting off the plane, he still sat in his original seat and felt that all this was so incredible. He held his father's hand and asked, "Dad, don't you think this is too weird? We just got on the plane and this happened. I don't think this is a real emergency." As Zhang Yuxi and his father, the old doctor, talked, the flight attendant on the plane came over and said to them with a smile, "Gentlemen, please get off the plane now." "Wait, I want to know why you can't take off. Did someone tell you that this flight is not allowed to fly? I don't believe that your plane suddenly broke down. Why didn't you say that there are only 10 minutes left before taking off? Is it intentional to suddenly notify you?" Zhang Yuxi still didn't want to believe that all this was an accident, so he stared at the air in front of him fiercely, and the other party was also startled by him and trembled a little. An unnatural expression appeared on his face. But the other party still tried hard to explain, "It's not like that, sir. We are just doing a temporary inspection and the plane had a problem, so we notified everyone to get off the plane. Otherwise, if something goes wrong during the temporary takeoff, we will not be able to bear the responsibility, not to mention that we have compensation." Hearing the stewardess's patient explanation, he was still very impatient in his heart, and still didn't want to get off the plane, and shouted at the stewardess, "I don't care whether you have compensation or not, anyway, I just tell you that I will not let this matter go. You hurry up and give me a reasonable explanation, otherwise, I will not get off the plane no matter what." Seeing him being so unreasonable, the stewardess didn't know what to do for a moment, and could only notify her other colleagues and ask someone to come and solve the problem. The old doctor next to him also comforted him and said, "Son, we can't stay on this plane any longer. Even if you don't leave, they won't continue to fly. Otherwise, let's go down and think of other ways." In fact, the old doctor himself knew that if they went down, it would be basically impossible to think of other ways. They could only wait for Lin Feng to come to them and then catch them all. Neither of them wanted to see such a situation. But what can they do? The stewardess on the opposite side continued to persuade with a smile, saying, "Yes, sir, we can understand your anxiety very well, but our plane really can't take off as usual. There is nothing we can do about it. Don't worry, we will notify you as soon as possible about when the next flight will take off." Zhang Yuxi is not a person who likes to find weak people to release his negative emotions. He glared at the stewardess. He also understood that the other party was just acting according to the orders from above. Finding trouble with the other party will not solve any problems. He snorted coldly, and then said to his father, the old doctor, "Then let's go, Dad. Since we can't stay at the airport any longer, we can always go somewhere else now. I don't believe that we can't escape from my small magic city." The stewardess also saw that Zhang Yuxi and his father were finally leaving the plane, and finally breathed a sigh of relief. Unexpectedly, the two fathers and sons were really hard to persuade. "I don't know what the problem is. Isn't it just getting off the plane? And it can be seen that the two of them don't look like very anxious businessmen, they just want to go abroad." So the stewardess really didn't have a good impression of the two of them. Until they got off the plane, Kong Kwang still complained to his colleagues behind him about what happened just now. But at the same time, it's also commonplace. For such frequent events, each other has a lot of experience. So everyone also advised him not to care so much, but they didn't know that Zhang Yuxi and his father wanted to leave the magic city just now, which was indeed 100 times and 1,000 times more anxious than talking about business. It's just that these people don't know. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1415 A Burden. Dad, I'm going to make a phone call now. Let me mobilize someone to come in and help me observe if there are any people around him who are stopping him in the airport. If not, let's go down. Let's wait in this coffee shop for a while. After leaving the airport a little, they came to a coffee shop. After sitting down for a while and making a phone call, Zhang Yuxi made all his instructions clear. After hanging up the phone, he just wanted to have a cup of coffee, but found that there were several very strange people watching them nearby, so he quickly reminded his father and said, "Dad, let's go first. I see two people behind us who seem to be staring at us. If nothing goes wrong, they may call other people. If we run again, you will definitely not be able to run away with your old arms and legs." At this time, Zhang Yuxi hated Lin Feng to death in his heart. He didn't expect that the other party would really chase him and would not let him go to the ends of the earth. "Good son, let's go now. I don't believe that in such a public place, even if they are sent by Lin Feng, they dare to take action at this time, which will definitely violate the laws of society." Since it has come to this, the old doctor naturally stands on the side of his son, so anyone who wants to hurt his son and does not let his son leave is naturally his enemy. Even though Lin Feng is already his boss, even though he used to respect Lin Feng very much, but now it has become different. Zhang Yuxi took the old doctor back to some places they had been to before, trying to get rid of them. But Zhang Yuxi alone is okay. The key is that he is with his father. The two of them stumbled around, and there are really too few people who can avoid them. Because their speed is very slow, as long as they stop, then the people behind can approach them blatantly, and as long as they find a reasonable reason, they can take both of them away. "Son, if not, you should go first and don't worry about me. Anyway, I'm not the one they want to catch, and you'll only be a burden if you follow me." The old doctor was very self-aware. He knew that if he followed his son, he would only be a burden to him. It would be better for him to wait for someone here. At worst, if someone wanted to catch up with his son again, he would hold the other person's thigh tightly and not let the other person leave. Of course, his painstaking efforts made him feel it. He shook his head and said excitedly, "No, Dad, if we want to leave, we can go together. How can I leave you behind again? Before, I didn't send anyone to find you because I misunderstood you. Now that I have found you, I really don't want to make the same mistake again. It's okay, son, I know you will be able to cheer up again, but you must promise me not to cause trouble for Lin Feng again. I don't want to see today's scene repeat again. Go away." After pushing the other person hard, he sat there motionless. Zhang Yuxi gritted his teeth. Seeing that his father would not leave, did he have to stay too? That would be a real loss. So he finally left. That's right, after he left, at least he and his father were safe. Otherwise, if the two stayed together, both would be caught. He breathed a sigh of relief and felt that his decision was not wrong at all. On the other side, Lin Feng heard someone outside tell him that the grandmaster he had invited before had returned. So, he put down his work and went out to meet the other party. But he saw that the other party was covered in blood and it looked like he had not recovered from his injuries for long. He was a little nervous. How could this happen? It was clearly asking the other party to catch Zhang Yuxi, but he was just a person who didn't know martial arts at all. How could a person like the grandmaster be injured? Could it be that there was some powerful master helping Zhang Yuxi? What's the matter with your injuries? Do you need to go to the hospital as soon as possible? After all, he was still one of his men, so Lin Feng was still very concerned about him. But when he finished speaking, the grandmaster touched his head a little embarrassedly. It seemed that he didn't know how to explain this matter to Lin Feng. Perhaps he also knew that for him, such a mission could fail. So he was a little ashamed to come to see Lin Feng. Lin Feng felt that things had already become like this. If he blamed the other party again, it would not be a solution. So he shook his head and said, "Okay, no need to apologize. I want to know the reason why you didn't bring those two people back to me. You have to tell me." After hearing what he said, the other party was obviously relieved, and then tremblingly explained everything that had happened before. You know, he is a grandmaster after all. He was so humble in front of Lin Feng because he knew how terrible the man in front of him was. Even if he was a grandmaster, wouldn't he still be pressed to the ground by the other party? This story started from the night before after drinking. But that was all in the past. Now he did this for Lin Feng just to repay Lin Feng's grace of saving his life, but he messed it up. So when he finished explaining, you can see that Lin Feng's handsome face is getting darker. It's obvious. Lin Feng is so angry because of what he said and what happened before that he can't speak. I can actually understand why you failed, and I won't blame you for this, but what I really can't understand is why you said that I sent you to do this in front of so many people. It turned out to be because of this. After hearing Lin Feng's complaint, the Grandmaster was also thinking in his heart how to get rid of this matter from himself. Because he knew that if he couldn't give Lin Feng a reasonable explanation, then Lin Feng would punish him severely. At the same time, he might not be able to get his commission. Did you hear what I said to you just now? Are you thinking about how to give me a reasonable explanation of these things now? It can be seen that Lin Feng is really amazing now, so no matter what the Grandmaster said, the other party would not listen, so the Grandmaster simply said nothing. With a plop, he knelt on the ground with both legs. Chapter 1416 A Perfect Surprise. The Grandmaster said to Lin Feng in a humble tone, "Boss Lin, if you really need me to pay the price, then punish me. I hope you can spare my family and let me stay out of this mercenary world." After hearing what he said, Lin Feng looked at him in surprise. Although Lin Feng was indeed very angry now, he was not a bad person, and he would not say that after the other party made a mistake, he would definitely implicate his family, right? If he did so, then Lin Feng was indeed a bit too much, so Lin Feng didn't know why the other party thought of him like this. He shook his head helplessly and said to the other party, "You stand up first. If you have anything to say, stand up and tell me. You don't have to kneel down. I'm not those old antiques in the past." Lin Feng knew that their rules were actually a bit too many. If they could not complete the tasks given to them by the employer, then they would need to be punished very badly. At that time, when Lin Feng was very angry just now, he still didn't mention what punishment he would have for him, so he was so excited, because that would only use very terrifying means to deal with him. But in fact, he didn't think so, just because he was simply angry, but he didn't want to explain so much. The other party did something wrong and ruined his reputation. I don't know if the other party did it on purpose. But before asking the other party to help him get the person back, he investigated the other party's identity and background. It was very clean, and he should not be bewitched by anyone. So he shook his head, and finally disturbed this person's life, and then said to him, "Okay, I know you didn't mean it, but this matter is really important to me, so I'll give you a chance now. Let your people follow you again, and catch those two people for me, the old doctor. If he wants to escape, it doesn't matter, just let him escape. That's it. His son, Zhang Yuxi, must be brought back to me intact, do you hear me?" In fact, he was a little curious why Lin Feng took so much trouble to bring those two people back. If he brought them back, wouldn't he be unable to complete the task? At least now Lin Feng's reputation has been out. If he doesn't discuss this matter anymore, then Lin Feng can still sell his newly developed drug. Now many people in the company are looking for Lin Feng to cooperate. But he just refuses to let Zhang Yuxi and the others go. This may be a personal problem that he shouldn't ask about, but now he shook his head with some concern, and he could only nod. Because he knew that the mistake he made was something that his employer could not forgive. Now that the other party is willing to give him a chance, how can he not cherish it? "Okay, Mr. Lin, I know. The mistake I made this time was indeed too serious, so I was not punished, and I was given a chance to reform, but I can only promise you that I will try my best to bring those two people back. If you want to bring them back alive, it will be a bit troublesome. If you want to bring them back regardless of life or death, maybe it will be an easy thing for me." Originally, Lin Feng could also agree to the other party regardless of life or death. But he thought of one thing, that is, he didn't need to do so. So he shook his head and said, "Forget it, you should bring him back alive. If he dies, then he is of no value to me." After saying this, the other party nodded, and then turned and left. But after he left, another person came into Lin Feng's room. He was also wearing a black agent uniform, and then he knelt in front of Lin Feng and said to him, "Mr. Lin, I know that person just now disappointed you, but don't worry, as long as you give me a chance, I will definitely surpass him and give you a perfect surprise. The person in front of him. In fact, he was the second person Lin Feng invited to help him do things. Because he no longer believed in the Grandmaster who had just left, and brought him disappointment. So Lin Feng planned to use another person to help him complete his orders. You should have heard what I said to that person just now. I hope you can complete the task that he can complete. If he still can't complete the task this time, then I will fire him completely. Then, I will let you be my ninja later. I hope you can complete the task I assigned to you. In this way, I will give you enough commission. If you can't complete it, then you can become famous in the mercenary group. Do you understand what I mean? Lin Feng couldn't say that this was dangerous. Because someone had offended him just now. Then he would naturally explain the details and some of his standards to the person in front of him. If he could not meet his requirements, he thought it would be better for the other party to leave on his own initiative, otherwise he would still not get any money from him, at most a little consolation money. But who knew that the other party responded to Lin Feng very forcefully, "Don't worry, Mr. Lin, I am not the same person as him. I can complete the tasks that he cannot complete, and I can complete the tasks that he can complete better, so you can trust me completely." However, although this guy said nice things, Lin Feng still liked to watch the world's actions, so he said to the other party, "Then you can compete with him." After seeing a hint of surprise in Lin Feng's eyes, the other party said to Lin Feng very happily, "I don't know how you want us to compete, Mr. Lin. No matter how we compete, I can answer you very firmly that I will definitely beat him." Mainly on the side of the mercenary group, he felt that he was not much different from the Grandmaster, but his reputation had always been lower than that of the other party, so he had been suppressed by the other party for so many years. He clenched his fist tightly. He felt that this was a good opportunity for revenge. If he missed it again, he might not have the chance to surpass the other party in this life. This has always been a knot in his heart, so he nodded and continued to say to Lin Feng, "Mr. Lin, don't worry. I will remember the opportunity you gave me this time. If I don't complete this task, I will never see you again in this life." After hearing what the other party said, Lin Feng understood that the other party was very determined to complete the task. If the other party didn't complete it, he would never condemn the other party. Because this guy couldn't take his life to complete his task. Although he was a mercenary, Lin Feng still hoped to respect the other party, so he nodded and said to him, "You go down. The commission I prepared for you has been deposited into the bank card. You can take this commission first and do what you want." When Lin Feng hired the other party, he still investigated the other party's background and knew that the other party was a very difficult artificial commission. He had been running around in various dangerous places for a year, so the commission Lin Feng gave him was also a very high price. As long as he could continue to complete the task, he would not have to worry about taking out the money here, so after getting the money, he took a deep breath. He sighed in his heart and said, "This is really too generous. With a boss like Mr. Lin, what do I need to be afraid of next? I just need to work for him well, and I will definitely be able to earn the most money I can earn in my life." After leaving, Lin Feng stood on his windowsill and watched the two black cars on the ground leave his home. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He knew that he would be able to catch the person back soon. A deep disgust was released in his eyes. If it was because of this guy Zhang Yuxi that made it difficult for me to find him, I wouldn't have to spend the price of 2 mercenaries to find him. Although this little money was not very important to Lin Feng, he didn't want to waste it. Moreover, there are actually more mysteries about Zhang Yuxi, which need to be solved by him, so this is why he doesn't want him to leave, otherwise he is just a business competitor. Even if he escapes abroad, Lin Feng will have plenty of opportunities to give him a good beating abroad, but there are still many unknown news about him. So he must catch him and stop him. Lin Feng sighed, hoping that his 2 people can be more reliable. As long as he is caught, everything will be easy. Now I should call the foreign company again and ask him to help me keep an eye on it. If there are assets flowing from our place to their country recently, it should be more or less related to Zhang Yuxi. I want to cut off the other party's funds. Chapter 1417 The most important person in my life. Just do it. Lin Feng called a bank abroad directly. Because this bank is connected to all countries on the entire continent. If you want to transfer money, then this bank is the most convenient. Because the benefits given by multinational banks are naturally many. For example, If Zhang Yuxi really wants to transfer his domestic property, then the handling fee to this bank may be as high as 10% or 20%. Moreover, this bank accepts you to remit money abroad, which requires a certain amount of money. The above means that it can only be transferred if it exceeds its minimum amount. According to Lin Feng, the minimum amount stipulated by this bank this year is 1 billion yuan, so if people who want to transfer their domestic property below this amount want to transfer it, it is impossible. Zhang Yuxi is a very outstanding and successful entrepreneur. Lin Feng certainly believes that the other party cannot have such a little money in his hand, so he made the call without hesitation. Zhang Yuxi wants to transfer his assets abroad as soon as possible. And he also wants to escape abroad as soon as possible, so this bank is definitely the best choice. He called at the right time, because he was a very distinguished hazy VIP. Someone immediately answered his phone and greeted him kindly. "Excuse me, Mr. Lin, you are calling here, is there anything you need to do? You have to know that the people who own this card pay a membership fee of up to 10 million a year, so they naturally dare not slack off for precious VIP users. Even if they make some excessive requests, they need to help solve them under reasonable circumstances. So Lin Feng can call their staff for any questions." After hearing this, Lin Feng just asked them if they can check the remittance records of private accounts in other countries now. After hearing this, the staff who answered the phone hesitated. But after thinking for a few seconds, he decided to agree to Lin Feng. After all, Lin Feng's noble status is something they can't afford to offend, so they nodded and said, "Don't worry, Mr. Lin, since you want to check the list of people with remittance records in your country, we will transfer it quickly. If we can't find it, we can also help you go to other large banks with cooperation to see if there are any remittance records for him." After hearing this, Lin Feng was not so worried for the time being, because he knew that if Zhang Yuxi wanted to remit cash abroad, he would have to go through other banks. Just set the target on these banks. Remember to help me find the remittance records of the person I just told you about within 24 hours, and the evidence is just right for me. No matter what method you use, do you hear me? The person on the other side nodded immediately without any doubt. Even if such a thing does not conform to the rules, it doesn't matter to them, because Lin Feng's identity is high enough. As long as the identity of the person to be dealt with does not meet Lin Feng's standards, then they will naturally not offend Lin Feng. This is also the usual style of doing things in their bank. So since Lin Feng made such a request, he must know that the other party must not reach the same level as Lin Feng. That's why he said so, and the staff naturally agreed. After hanging up the phone, Lin Feng breathed a sigh of relief. He pushed open the door of the room and saw Zhang Yuxi painting in the room. Lin Feng walked up, held his hand, and started to paint with him, and said to Zhang Yuxi tenderly, "We haven't been together like this for a long time. Do you think I'm too busy recently, so I haven't been with you?" Zhang Yuxi shook her head and asked him in a very caring manner, "If I'm busy, will you say that to me?" Lin Feng shook his head and looked at him lovingly and said, "Of course not, you are the most important person in my life. How could I think that you don't love me just because you are busy for a short time?" Zhang Yuxi laughed. She knew that Lin Feng was coaxing her, so of course she gave Lin Feng face. The two of them got along well. After all, Zhang Yuxi was very talented in all aspects, and so was Lin Feng. So even if the two of them stayed together and just painted simply, they could cultivate the relationship between the two. Even though Lin Feng was indeed busy during this period and had no extra time to accompany Zhang Yuxi was not angry at all. On the contrary, the two of them stayed together again because of this short time and cultivated a deeper relationship. It was not until 2 hours later that Lin Feng carried Zhang Yuxi, who had already fallen asleep, back to bed and let her sleep obediently, and then he went out to deal with his business affairs. After all, it was still a troublesome thing to get rid of Zhang Yuxi. This was related to whether his important things would be leaked. This afternoon, there was a very important notice to tell me, that is, another potion was missing in his laboratory building. And this potion could not be found out when it disappeared. If he knew who did it, he could find it out quickly, but even if he checked the entire laboratory building, he didn't know on which day the two potions were lost. This was very bad news for him, because this kind of thing that was lost unconsciously made him feel a little scary. It must be that Zhang Yuxi had someone else in his laboratory building. But this time Lin Feng didn't plan to alert the snake, because he knew that if he alerted the snake, it would be very likely to make the other party alert. Since Zhang Yuxi left such a chess piece in place, Then he must have some idea, wanting to use the other party to deal with him? In that case, it was better to use the trick. So he smiled coldly, and then answered, "It doesn't matter, isn't it just 2 medicines that are lost? Anyway, our medicines have been successfully sold now. So there will be many companies cooperating with us in the future. Even if these 2 medicines are missing, it doesn't matter much. Anyway, even if they take them, they can't match the concentration and all other proportions inside. Even if the medicines they mix are completely different from ours, you can rest assured." Lin Feng's order really gave everyone in the laboratory a sigh of relief. Because they were all very afraid that if Lin Feng knew about the loss of the medicines and punished them, then they would be in trouble. But they didn't expect Lin Feng to be such a kind boss. So everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but they still had to be vigilant. Now a new old doctor said to all the employees, "The medicine has been lost. Although Mr. Lin did not hold us responsible, we can no longer be so careless. Find out who was on duty that day, and the person who lost the 2 medicines will have half of his salary this month deducted. Otherwise, won't our laboratory building have other problems next?" Although the new old doctor was a bit strict, what he said was not wrong. If the medicines they made were accidentally lost after being produced in batches, it might be just a small matter for the entire laboratory building. But if these things fell into the outside world, or fell into the hands of some other people, then it would become a big deal, so he must pay great attention to it. I say, "Doctor, we shouldn't be so anxious. Anyway, our general manager Lin doesn't have any business rivals anymore. In this magic city, those who used to be our general manager Lin's business rivals have all disappeared, or have fled abroad, so there's no need to worry so much." "That's right, I think you're still too nervous. Why don't we change the way of punishment? After all, a month's salary is at least tens of thousands. You know, the fee given by Lin Feng is very high. As researchers, the higher the benefits they get, the greater their responsibilities. It's a pity that the doctor who manages them this time is not a good person to talk to." So he immediately said unhappily, "Impossible, I told you, we must follow this rule. Otherwise, if something goes wrong again, who will be responsible? In the end, I will have to take the blame." After hearing this, everyone could only shake their heads helplessly. Since the doctor has said so, what else can they say? They can only check who is on duty that day. After all the people dispersed, only a woman in her 20s or nearly 30 stayed behind. She took off her white coat, took out a form to record the duty, and tore it up. That's right, he had thought of this trick long before, so in order to protect himself, he had to steal the things and then destroy all the related records. Only in this way can Lin Feng not find out more about the surveillance. He would think of other ways, but he didn't think of one thing. That is, the more he cares about destroying the evidence, the more deliberate he will appear, and the greater the possibility of being found out, unless the other party doesn't want to find out. Otherwise, sooner or later, he will become a fish that slips through the net. In the end, he will be caught by these people in the laboratory building. He is the one on duty. It is also because of him that the entire laboratory building lost 2 potions. This is an indisputable fact. Chapter 1418 Call the Miss Out. So, after all the members in this laboratory building were disbanded, he went back to a monitoring room on the 1st floor, which could store their monitoring within 90 days. So he decided to destroy the monitoring. Only in this way could he keep his position in this laboratory building. If he didn't know his ability, he would experience a lot of trouble if he went out to find the same job. Moreover, the treatment given by Lin Feng was really good. He had already paid back the favor he owed to Zhang Yuxi, so he should plan for himself now. On the other side, since Zhang Yuxi and his father separated, he kept running in this very crowded street, because he knew that if he stopped, he would be caught by the people behind him, but he didn't know. In fact, the Grandmaster had returned to Lin Feng and reported the task he had not completed before. So in this short half-day, he basically didn't stop. He had never been as embarrassed as today. In order to escape Lin Feng's pursuit, he had to leave the magic city as soon as possible, but it didn't matter. He knew that he couldn't take a plane now, because if he went to the airport, there would definitely be problems in other places, so he simply chose another way of transportation. That is to take a bus and then transfer to another one. Anyway, as long as it is not their long-distance bus, he does not need to use his identity card, so this is why he has a new way to leave Lin Feng. In order to divert the other party's attention, as long as the people sent by Lin Feng can't locate his position, then they will give up. He is now in a very embarrassing situation, and he also sold his mobile phone. Only a lot of cash and his bank card are left. He knows that as long as he has money in his hand, no matter where he goes, it is easy to borrow a mobile phone to make a call. In order to escape, he really did everything. But his methods are too childish. If he really tracks him down, then Lin Feng will definitely have an absolute advantage in sending these two people. So in addition to Master Mo, another master of the master level is also constantly tracking Zhang Yuxi. And through various communication methods and his own examples, he finally found out which street Zhang Yuxi was on. On the other side, the next afternoon, Lin Feng had another press conference, and he needed to appear. After all, this was the first week of the launch of his company's products, so if he could sell them as quickly as possible within this week, there would be many benefits. So he did not refuse and agreed to be present at the press conference, so he made preparations in advance. As for Zhang Yuxi's matter, since he had handed it over to his subordinates, he had to believe in the ability of his subordinates. At this time, he saw an old acquaintance, that is, Sister Zhou, who sat on the chair at the press conference again. Because of what happened 2 days ago, Sister Zhou's help really saved Lin Feng a lot of time and effort, so for him, Lin Feng nodded slightly, just like saying hello, but under so many machines, Lin Feng said hello to a network anchor. This really surprised other news media. Some of the news media thought it was normal because they already knew what Sister Zhou did for Lin Feng and knew that the two were friends. However, other news media thought that Lin Feng was interested in a female anchor. So everyone couldn't help but take pictures again. Lin Feng was speechless. What he thought was that if he had known earlier, he would not have greeted Sister Zhou at this time to avoid being misunderstood. However, this was not the most important thing. He glanced at the assistant next to him. The other party nodded very clearly, and then said to everyone, "Everyone, please be quiet. Our President Lin has something to say to everyone. Don't you want to know some specific things about our product launch this time? We only said half of these at the launch conference, but now we can say the other half of the data. Don't you want to listen?" Fortunately, the other people were all attracted back by the assistant's words, so they looked at Lin Feng very expectantly, hoping that everyone could give him a reasonable explanation. Lin Feng coughed, then took the microphone and said, "Yes, my assistant is right. This time, I mainly want to discuss with you the company's plans for the future, our product launches and some ideas for cooperation. You can pay attention to this aspect." After hearing the assistant's topic, everyone was really concerned about which companies Lin Feng was currently cooperating with. They also hoped to interview the companies that Lin Feng was cooperating with, so that they would be able to get the latest reports. So the reporters asked questions one after another. Mr. Lin, are you sure that you have no stable cooperation with any companies to sell this batch of medicine that can prolong your life year after year? After this reporter finished asking, other reporters basically asked the same topic. After listening for about 2 minutes, Lin Feng asked the assistant next to him to interrupt them, and then he said slowly, "Actually, this time I want to announce to you a partner that I really want to cooperate with and have already determined, that is the Lu family group." After hearing this, everyone was very surprised, because everyone knew that the Lu family group was not unknown in the entire Magic City. It can be regarded as relatively famous, right? But why did the Lu family group become Lin Feng's final partner? Moreover, according to the gossip they learned, there was still a little friction between the Lu family and Lin Feng before. Although it cannot be called a deep hatred, the two families should not have such a close cooperation. So everyone was a little surprised, but the boy did not intend to explain it all by himself, because he felt that what he said would be more true if he did not let these people see it with their own eyes. So he said to the assistant next to him, "Let him come out and tell these reporters in person." The assistant nodded and said respectfully, "Yes, Mr. Lin, I will call the eldest lady out now." Everyone was very curious. Who is the eldest lady that the assistant was talking about? Could it be their new partner? Chapter 1419. What kind of a question is this? Everyone didn't have to wait for long. After just 1 minute, a beautiful woman in a suit came out. Some people have recognized her. Isn't this person Lu Qingqing, the eldest daughter of the Lu family? Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect that the Lu family would let their eldest daughter attend such an important press conference, instead of the head of the Lu family, Mr. Lu. It can be seen how much this eldest daughter Lu is valued in the Lu family. She is even more distressed to the old man than her brother, Mr. Lu. So everyone pointed the camera at Lu Qingqing and kept taking pictures. Then Lu Qingqing sat next to Lin Feng and said to everyone, "Everyone must be very curious why I am here to attend this press conference on behalf of the Lu family today, right? It doesn't matter, I will explain to you now, because I will be the heir of Lu Jiaoyi in the future." After saying this, everyone was even more surprised, because generally speaking, the family's inherited business will be given to the eldest son of the family, that is, the son, and not to the daughter, even though Miss Lu is also the sister of Mr. Lu, who was born from the same mother. But there is no reason to take away the position of the future head of the family from the other party. This is really amazing. Everyone wants to dig as much as possible about this news. So the camera kept shooting at him. After seeing this step, Lin Feng finally breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, when he led his secretary in, he had already told Lu Qingqing that if Lu Qingqing wanted him to forgive him completely, then he would say this as soon as he came out. Sure enough, Lu Qingqing gave him a very big surprise as soon as she came out. Of course, how Lu Qingqing would explain to her brother after she returned was another matter. Anyway, the words had been spoken now. After everyone was attracted by Lu Qingqing's attraction, Lin Feng spoke slowly, and then said to everyone, "I guess you all heard that the eldest lady of the Lu family next to me is the future heir of the family, so there's nothing wrong with me communicating with him directly, and the reason why I will cooperate with Liu Jia is that they give up a lot of profits, so they are my first choice. Of course, as for other family members who are willing to cooperate, it is not impossible to contact me, but we can discuss it in detail at that time." Lin Feng also released the news that he wanted to cooperate with others in front of so many news media. After hearing it, everyone expressed their admiration for Lin Feng, a global unique drug brand. He was willing to cooperate with other families in the Magic City for win-win results. What a great mind, so everyone deeply admired this person, who was not very old but had great courage. Lin Feng, who was loved by everyone, nodded, and then showed the cooperation plan between himself and the Lu family. For the reporters to take pictures. This press conference was really a good thing for Lin Feng to gain both fame and fortune. It also allowed the Lu family to repay their kindness and write off the previous account between Lu Qingqing and themselves. Just after Lin Feng finished speaking, he and Lu Qingqing exchanged glances. It also meant that the two of them had understood what the other party wanted to say, but this was just acting. As for whether it would really be as Lin Feng said, it really depended on Lu Qingqing's performance today. At this time, after receiving Lin Feng's next instructions, he stood up, took the microphone and said to everyone else, "I will now officially represent our Lu group as the future heir to cooperate with Lin Feng, so if you all have any questions, just ask me." It must be said that he really has the momentum of a family head. After he finished speaking, all the media were crazy about him, and started filming. Someone asked him, "Ms. Lu, why are you able to get the truth about your family, and why do you have more inheritance rights than your brother? Can you tell me?" But Lu Qingqing just looked at the other person very coldly, and then said with a look of no comment, "This is my own business, and it has nothing to do with you, so what's the point of asking about this kind of thing? It's better to ask something else." After he finished speaking, everyone looked at each other, and then someone else asked him, "Excuse me, the reason why you can become the future heir of the Lu group is because you are going to marry Lin Feng." After saying this, Lu Qingqing almost spit out a mouthful of blood. What kind of a weird question is this? You know, Lin Feng is sitting next to them. If they are really curious about this kind of question, then they will continue to ask Lin Feng, what does it mean to ask themselves, and put so many hats on themselves. Sure enough, you can see that Lin Feng, who was sitting next to him, had a somewhat unhappy look on his face, because he had a fiancée at that time, so he really didn't want anyone to misunderstand him like this. Although he felt that there was no need to explain, he still stood up and said to media, "I solemnly promised everyone my future fiancé here. Only my current girlfriend has no relationship with Miss Lu. He is just my partner. If you are interested in this aspect, I think you should be an entertainment reporter, not a media reporter." After Lin Feng said this, many people started to discuss it. Because they didn't expect Lin Feng to openly go against the entire media for his legitimate girlfriend, and he said such ugly words. Although he didn't curse directly. But you are now denying their professionalism, so for many media, I'm afraid they won't be too happy, but Lin Feng doesn't care so much. Who are you for making them come to the door to curse? If they don't say anything, then Lin Feng won't curse them, So Lin Feng has no pressure at all. As for Lu Qingqing, she is completely indifferent. Even though he was somewhat surprised by Raymond Lam, he did not dare to show it. Who knows if Raymond Lam would be dissatisfied. However, he admired Raymond Lam very much. He was able to say in such an occasion that he designed this picture for his girlfriend. Lu Qingqing also clenched his fists, because he had liked Raymond Lam before. Otherwise, he would not have retaliated against Raymond Lam because of this series of things. However, these things are now in the past, but he is still very envious. As Raymond Lam's girlfriend, she can be so cared for and loved by him. Chapter 1420 Entertainment Anchor. On the other side, Zhang Yuxi, who was watching the live broadcast, also showed a very sweet smile, and then said to her best friend next to her, "You see, I told you that my husband loves Mao Te so much that he will always remember me in his heart and will never let me go because of his career. So he confessed to me in front of so many people. Don't you think it's not enough?" The best friend next to her smacked her lips and still thought that Zhang Yuxi was right. Indeed, in this world, it is too rare to meet someone as affectionate as Raymond Lam. No wonder Zhang Yuxi lives so happily every day. He looked at Zhang Yuxi with some envy and said, "I also want to find a boyfriend like you. I hope the god of luck can bless me and let me find him as soon as possible." Seeing him making a wish, Zhang Yuxi chuckled and said, "That's not easy. When the time comes, as long as you meet him, I will definitely be able to see it at a glance." The other party pouted and said, "How can it be so easy to meet? If I really meet him, I will thank God. Do you think the good men in this world are easy cabbages? You can tell at a glance." The bestie looked unconfident and shook her head. In Raymond Lam's press conference, although Raymond Lam was the protagonist, the media reporters sitting under the stage were also again and again, and were made incredible by Raymond Lam's reversals. Among them, there was one person who was different. Because he is an entertainment anchor, his status is naturally not as good as those media journalists, although of course they are not comparable in terms of money. But he is a little sad now. After seeing his exposed face, the people in the live broadcast room couldn't help laughing and said, "Look, Sister Joe looks very depressed again." She might have been sensed by Lin Feng's sudden confession to his girlfriend. "I also think that our Sister Joe must want to find such a good boyfriend, ha ha ha. Don't think about it. There is only one Lin Feng in the world. How can you find a second one exactly the same? But let me explain here. I have 8 apartments in my family, all in the first ring road, as well as 3 hotels and 2 supermarkets. If you want to experience the low-end version of Lin Feng, you can come to me." After seeing this kind of message, Sister Joe just rolled her eyes in disdain, and then said to the others, "Don't think about it. I don't have that kind of intention towards Lin Feng at all. I understand what you think. I am not worthy of him at all. His girlfriend is gentle, virtuous, beautiful, and will be a socialite in the future. As for me, I will just be a good anchor." It has to be said that there are not many people in the world who can make Sister Joe so depressed. It can only be said that Lin Feng's charm is too great. Even Sister Joe was deeply attracted after seeing it. But he knows very well where the gap between him and the other party is, so he will not force this impossible fate. Of course, the people in the live broadcast room saw that he was so sad and gave him a lot of gifts. Sister Joe was really sad at the beginning. In the end, he smiled when he saw so many gifts, and said to the people in the live broadcast room, "My family, thank you for your support and love. Don't worry, I will cheer up." He said this very passionately, but after hearing what he said, someone in the live broadcast room said to him, "You don't have to cheer up, we like to see you look so hit. The longer you cry, the happier we are, ha ha ha." That's right, Sister Joe, you continue to be hurt by love. We are very willing to see you like this. It is really not easy for you to put away your wishful thinking. Secretly, Sister Joe was very moved the previous second, but after he heard what everyone said, he became bad and couldn't help wanting to smash his phone. If he hadn't seen that this was a public place and there were so many people, he would definitely have roared loudly. He couldn't help but said, "What do you mean? You really like to laugh at me, right? I'm so embarrassed, I'm crying for you guys to see." Of course, he was just talking. It was impossible for him to really cry now, otherwise the whole scene would be very chaotic. If he was photographed, I don't know what to say about him. So he wouldn't cause trouble for himself. After all, people who work in this industry have a little in-depth understanding of news media and other entertainment things, and they also know about such casual things. If he puts a big hit on himself, then he will be the unlucky one, and he will definitely be scolded by more people. He is just a little sad in front of the audience in the live broadcast room, and everyone can still comfort him, but if his sadness becomes a hot search or is known by more people, then things will become different. So although he wanted to continue selling vegetables and try to get people in the live broadcast room to give him more gifts, he also knew that this method was not feasible, so he wiped the tears from his eyes and said to the people nearby, Okay, stop making trouble. Let's go live and see how Lin Feng and Niu Jiang will cooperate next. Although Zhou Ji rarely broadcasts this type of scene, due to Lin Feng's very high influence, and the fact that he and Lin Feng are old acquaintances, it has attracted a large number of fans and viewers. His live broadcast room has not stopped giving gifts. It can be said that these few days are his brightest moments this month. The money he earned in these few days is enough for him to earn in 1 or 2 months. This is a rare opportunity for him and he must not miss it. You know, after Lin Feng held a press conference today, there will be no such time. So take this opportunity to make another fortune. This is what he needs to consider most now, and everything else has nothing to do with him. After the reporters learned about Lin Feng's plan, they asked again in confusion, Mr. Lin, besides the Lu family, are there any other companies or families you want to cooperate with? Could you please give us a guarantee here? This may be considered as involving commercial secrets, but Lin Feng's brand has already made a name for itself, so there are many partners who come to him because of his reputation. Chapter 1421, Waste Brother. If Lin Feng could announce it at this time, it would probably give some companies that want to cooperate with him a reassurance. So whether Lin Feng is willing to say it or not is his business. Everyone has already raised this question. Of course, Lin Feng can refuse, and of course he can accept the answer. After thinking for a while, Lin Feng slowly said, In fact, there is indeed another family in my heart, that is the Wang family. After Lin Feng chose to say all this at such an important press conference, he naturally had other plans in his mind. That's because he knew that there was something wrong with the Wang family. He had already seen it when he was in school. The eldest daughter of the Wang family was ambitious. He must want to win this cooperation, but their Wang family must have very big ambitions for their own companies and want to acquire them. Under such circumstances, it is definitely not a very good thing for Lin Feng to cooperate with them. On the contrary, he already has the intention to get rid of the Wang family. The Wang family is different from the Lu family. At least Mr. Lu's attitude towards him is very firm. He has always wanted to have a long-term cooperation with him, and he will not betray him. The Wang family is different. For such a second-rate family, they really want to climb up. If they climb to a first-rate family, then their methods will be more cruel than now, and they will not hesitate to use all the people and things that can be used. So if Lin Feng does not come out of the Wang family at this time, it is difficult to guarantee whether the other party will grow as big as Zhang Yuxi before, and then threaten him. For all this, he must make a decision. Looking at this active request to cooperate with the Wang family, it is actually a stick to hit the bird that sticks out. Everyone knows that the Wang family is just a second-rate family. Many business families who are watching some press conferences will not allow a second-rate family to climb over their heads, so they will definitely try their best to prevent the Wang family from getting into trouble. At that time, Lin Feng will not need to do it himself to deal with the other party. Isn't this a very exciting thing? After thinking about this, he laughed in his heart. But on the surface, Lin Feng said calmly, Yes, I have already confirmed that the next cooperation partner is the Wang family. If they are willing, I can sign a contract with them now. After Lin Feng said this, everyone actively took pictures of him and recorded this part. Even the people who were broadcasting live on the internet couldn't help but be surprised after seeing all this. Are you sure? Even the Wang family can be ranked, why can't our Li family? That's right, we are no worse than that second-rate family. Why can't we cooperate with Lin Feng? This is unfair. Is there some unknown deal here? Don't talk nonsense. If you offend Lin Feng, then you will never have the opportunity to cooperate with him in this life. Don't think that his current medicine is just newly famous. But there must be a very strong market, both at home and abroad. As long as this market is opened up, the money earned will be countless. I believe Lin Feng will not let us down. Many people are discussing Lin Feng's partner this time. When they heard about the website, they were naturally very disdainful in their hearts, because there are many families that want to compete. Either they are century-old families or some large group companies, and the Wang family is very far away from them. The Wang family is just a small group, and its influence in the Magic City is just a little bit. To put it nicely, it is a small family. To put it bluntly, it is just a pawn in the hands of powerful forces at any time. If you want to get rid of it, it is not impossible, so everyone is now thinking about the Wang family. Either get rid of the Wang family directly and then grab this business again, or think of other ways to actively contact Lin Feng, but the latter may be a little troublesome, because from the press conference the day before yesterday to today, thousands of companies are about to blow up Lin Feng's number. But no one got a reply, except now, when the two words Wang family are mentioned during the interview, otherwise everyone has no idea what they are thinking. This news is very surprising to most people, but for their Wang family, it is a very good thing. The family watching the news was very happy and said to their granddaughter, "Child, you did a good job this time. You actually made Lin Feng agree to cooperate with our family. This is already a great thing. I guess we can become a first-class family after this cooperation." Ha ha ha. The head of the family is Wang Yan's grandfather. He patted his granddaughter with his hand and said with an admiring look. But the eldest daughter of the Wang family looked at her grandfather with a very innocent look, because she couldn't understand what was going on. Her grandfather actually thought that he was the one who caused this incident. How could this be possible? With his strength, even if he could meet Lin Feng, he might not be able to persuade Lin Feng to attend this press conference and tell all the news media reporters that their Wang family would cooperate with Lin Feng, so all this was obviously impossible. But his grandfather actually pushed all the functions onto himself, which he found a little incredible. Okay, I know you will definitely want a reward after making a contribution this time, right? It's okay, I'll give you this card to use at will, and I've brought you the thing you brought before. After hearing what her grandfather said, Wang Yan nodded, and said to him very excitedly, "In that case, I'll go back first, Grandpa, I won't tell you anything else. If you want to find Lin Feng for cooperation, then you can call him yourself, and I won't care about the next thing." After all, after that incident, he felt that he was more concerned about what he wanted to do, and he didn't want to care about most of the family's affairs. He even wanted to hand all these things over to his grandfather, and he even thought that it didn't matter if his grandfather trained a new capable person. Anyway, he didn't plan to inherit the entire family business, not to mention that he didn't have the qualifications. In the end, he was just an employee. No matter how well he did, the family business would not be handed over to him in the end, but to his useless brother. So why did he do so much? It would be better to do something he liked. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 1422 The Power in the Dark. After thinking about this, he retreated in front of so many people. After he left, the head of the family said to his secretary, "Why don't you call Mr. Lin now? Since the cooperation has been confirmed, let's contact him now." Ha ha ha, if we contact him at the press conference, we can confirm my cooperation relationship more directly. These are all my good granddaughters. They have done a great job. After hearing what he said, the assistant nodded and agreed, and then connected the line to Lin Feng, hoping that Lin Feng could get through the phone. After all, this was when Lin Feng was in a meeting. If it was normal, then even if the Wang family had 100 courage, they would not dare to disturb Lin Feng at this time, but now it is different. They have seen on the internet that they will cooperate with the Wang family in person. So of course they have to ask hello now, so when Lin Feng's secretary gave him a look, he stopped. Then I saw that after the secretary took the phone over, staring at the incoming call reminder on it, he smiled speechlessly. I didn't expect that this prince was really in a hurry. It was just confirmed, and not long after that, they wanted to come to me. You have to know the accuracy rate. Just now, I said this news in front of all the media. In less than 5 minutes, the other party called me. Probably to confirm their cooperation, so Lin Feng gave his assistant a look, meaning to let the assistant connect the phone, and he would listen to what the head of the Wang family said to him. The assistant nodded, and after answering the phone, he gave all the news media reporters a gesture, which meant that they should not talk now, because Lin Feng had a phone call to answer. Lin Feng took it in his hand and said, "Hello, what's the matter?" For Lin Feng's ordinary attitude, The other party obviously said with a hint of flattery in his voice, Mr. Lin, we want to confirm our cooperative relationship this time, you know it. Obviously, there was a hint of anxiety in the other party's voice, because he was very afraid that the words just now would not be said, so he asked him to come over later, hoping to confirm it immediately, which was the best. After hearing this, Lin Feng understood what the other party meant, so he nodded and said, okay, since you have seen what I said on the live broadcast, I promise that I can give you a verbal agreement now. After Lin Feng agreed to the Wang family, the entire Wang family fell into a festive mood. They finally got what they wanted. Everyone laughed loudly, but when the head of the family looked over, they could only stop laughing obediently. At this time, the head of the family continued to say to Lin Feng, in that case, then, Mr. Lin, starting tomorrow, I will let my granddaughter Wang Yan talk to you about the project in detail. Lin Feng nodded and agreed, okay, let him come over. I will ask my assistant to receive him outside tomorrow. The other party was also very happy, and then thought that Lin Feng was still at the press conference, so he said, in that case, I won't bother you, Mr. Lin. After Lin Feng said a few words, he hung up the phone. During this process, he did not deliberately lower his voice, so some media reporters present heard what he said, and after guessing, they could also know who he was talking to on the phone. So this piece of news is quite important. If it gets out, it will definitely shock everyone. However, after hanging up the phone, Lin Feng didn't pay attention to what happened before, so he gestured to his assistant. The assistant understood and came over to say to the reporters present, didn't you want to interview Mr. Lin just now? Now go on, his business has been dealt with. The reporters nodded one after another, and then asked about this project. It was not until nearly an hour later that everything was finished. After watching everyone leave the conference room, only Lu Qingqing stayed. He said to Lin Feng, are you satisfied with my performance just now? Lu Qingqing now is no longer the same as before. He didn't dare to say anything rude in front of Lin Feng, so after Lin Feng looked at him, he didn't deliberately make things difficult for him. He nodded and said, okay, what you said just now really helped me out, so I will also carefully consider your Lu family's cooperation with me. Lu Qingqing was a little unhappy, but she didn't say much. Just now, Lin Feng had casually agreed to cooperate with the Wang family. You know, it's just a second-rate family, but for cooperation with their Lu family, he just said that he still needs to consider this kind of differential treatment. He felt very unhappy in his heart. What's more, he just said such bold words in front of so many media. You know, he must explain to his grandfather when he goes back, and his brother has always been slow to think. Who knows if he will misunderstand him. After thinking about all this, Lu Qingqing felt a little troublesome, but Lin Feng understood his embarrassment and did the same. What was the reason? Wasn't it to punish him for the wrong things he had done before? Even if Lu Qingqing really regretted it now, some things could not be changed since they had already caused trouble, so things had come to this point. Since there is no way to save the situation, the only thing he can do is to let him do something that he cannot do to offset it. Lin Feng said to him, you should feel lucky. I haven't given up the cooperation with the Lu family because of you. I just need to think about it again. As for other things, I will call you after I think it through. You can leave now. Lu Qingqing glanced at Lin Feng, and then said with some requests, I know I was wrong about the previous things, but it shouldn't be my fault. Regarding the cooperation with the Lu family, I hope you can really think about it carefully. Lin Feng nodded, and then asked the assistant to send him out. When the assistant came back, he asked Lin Feng with some confusion, and then said, Mr. Lin, we didn't talk about cooperating with the Wang family when we discussed it before. Why did you suddenly make this decision just now? In the assistant's opinion, he really couldn't understand why Lin Feng's attitude changed so quickly, and he also felt that the Wang family really didn't have the qualifications to cooperate with him, so he hoped that Lin Feng could give him an explanation. After listening, Lin Feng just shook his head slightly, and then said, it's very simple. We will use the Wang family as a stepping stone for those forces hiding in the dark who want to spy on this project. I will make it clear to them that I will strike down as many people as you have like the Wang family. Don't think that the Wang family is getting whatever they want now. But once they show off, after I terminate the cooperation with them, they will be left with nothing. By then, if there are any, they will come back. After hearing this, the assistant couldn't help but give a thumbs up and praise Lin Feng. Boss Lin, you are really amazing. You actually thought of such a good way to deal with the Wang family. Chapter 1423 Official date. That's it. Time passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Feng felt that the current life of intrigue and deception was really boring. And he had no time to accompany Zhang Yuxi during this period. So he decided to hand over all the projects and work on hand to his subordinates. Then he returned to normal campus life, accompanied Zhang Yuxi to class every day, and went to the juggling club from time to time to drink and brag with Chen Donggyun and others. Life will be very comfortable. The next morning when he woke up, Lin Feng gently kissed Zhang Yuxi's forehead. He looked at the cute face that was still sleeping in front of him gently. He couldn't bear to wake her up and let her sleep a little longer. So he tiptoed up and washed up simply. Then he walked to the kitchen. He heated milk for Zhang Yuxi and steamed eggs. He also fried Zhang Yuxi's favorite steak, washed some broccoli, boiled it with water, and added some sauce. These are what Zhang Yuxi likes to eat in the morning, and the taste is relatively light. Recently, Lin Feng has been busy with other things and has little time to prepare breakfast for Zhang Yuxi. He also doesn't have much time to accompany her. So now I plan to relax for a while and spend more time with her. Relive the warm and sweet campus life when they first got together. Breakfast is done. Lin Feng came to the bed in the room. At this time, Zhang Yuxi woke up in a daze. Her eyes were still a little hard to open, and she took her hand and rubbed it like a cat. The cute look made Lin Feng smile with a doting face. Wife, get up. The sun is shining on your butt, little lazy bug. I've made breakfast, get up and eat it. Lin Feng pinched Zhang Yuxi's face and said gently. Well hubby, hug, Zhang Yuxi said in a coquettish manner. After that, she opened her arms and asked for a hug. Lin Feng immediately picked up Zhang Yuxi and patted her butt. Hurry, go wash up. Breakfast will get cold later. Lin Feng talked while holding Zhang Yuxi to the bathroom to wash up. Then he squeezed toothpaste for Zhang Yuxi. Then he went to the kitchen and brought the hot milk to the dining table. When Zhang Yuxi brushed her teeth, she looked at herself in the mirror, and happiness filled her face. She should be the happiest person in the world. After a simple wash, Zhang Yuxi came to the dining table and sat down. Wife, these are all your favorites. Eat. Lin Feng said gently. Then he picked up the egg, peeled the eggshell, and put the egg in front of Zhang Yuxi. Thank you, husband, Zhang Yuxi said happily. By the way, husband, how did you have time to make breakfast for me today? Zhang Yuxi asked. Because the two hadn't been together like this for a long time. Although the love has not diminished, after all, Lin Feng has multiple duties, and he must not be sick of him 24 hours a day when he's busy. Lin Feng has to deal with various big and small things outside, and he is busy, and she understands it very well. Today is the weekend. According to the usual practice, even on weekends, Lin Feng goes out early. Sometimes he will prepare breakfast and keep it for her to eat when she wakes up. Although it is entirely possible for a nanny to take care of these things, because Zhang Yuxi likes the breakfast he makes, sometimes no matter how busy Lin Feng is, he will take some time to prepare breakfast for Zhang Yuxi occasionally. It can be said that he is super doting on Zhang Yuxi. But today Lin Feng actually had time to accompany her for breakfast. Zhang Yuxi couldn't help but have some doubts. I have arranged all the company's affairs. There will be special people to take care of the things outside. So I don't need to take care of these things at the moment. I plan to go back to school and accompany you to and from school every day. Before I was too busy, now I have to spend more time with you. Lin Feng carefully explained the whole story to Zhang Yuxi. How is it? Wife, are you happy? Then Lin Feng spoke. Of course. As long as I can stay with you, I'm very happy. Zhang Yuxi replied excitedly. How could she not be happy? Staying together every day, even if they do something boring or interesting. Those will be the things they experience together, and they can all be recalled in the future. Lin Feng looked at Zhang Yuxi, who was so happy, and he was more sure that the choice he made now was correct. Returning to school, accompanying Zhang Yuxi, chatting and laughing with a few brothers. Simple, pure, and beautiful. This is what it looked like at the beginning. Wife, today is the weekend. Let me take you out to play. Buy whatever you want. Lin Feng said with a look of a domineering president. Well, okay. It's been a long time since we had a formal date. Husband, let's have a good date today. Zhang Yuxi said excitedly. With full of expectations, the two smiled knowingly. Okay. Wife has the final say. Lin Feng smiled and said with a slight smile on his face. Then, the two finished breakfast. Lin Feng cleaned up the table and tableware. Zhang Yuxi happily went to the dressing room to dress herself up exquisitely. In fact, even if she didn't wear makeup, she could beat everyone. She was naturally beautiful and fresh. But Zhang Yuxi still attached great importance to this date. After all, it had been a while since she had been like this with Lin Feng. Then he went to the cloakroom to carefully select clothes. All kinds of clothes for Zhang Yuxi in this spacious cloakroom were bought by Raymond Lam, including various brand name bags and shoes. The main reason is that Raymond Lam knows Zhang Yuxi's style and the types she likes very well. Every time he buys something, it is more suitable for Zhang Yuxi, and she likes it very much. As the saying goes, to love someone is to cater to his or her preferences. Knowing each other inside and out, Zhang Yuxi has been spoiled like a princess. Of course, Raymond Lam's clothes were also carefully selected by Zhang Yuxi. Each set is very suitable, including clothes for any occasion. Every time Raymond Lam attends an important occasion or goes to the company to handle things, Zhang Yuxi will help Raymond Lam match suits, ties, and shoes according to the situation. From beginning to end, she prepared with all her heart and soul. A 100% qualified future wife. The love of the two is mutual, a match made in heaven. Chapter 1424, The Language of Lavender. Husband, come here. Zhang Yuxi shouted in the cloakroom. Lin Feng hurried to the cloakroom, looking a little flustered. He thought something had happened to Zhang Yuxi. When he came in, he saw Zhang Yuxi was fine, picking out clothes one by one. What's the matter? Lin Feng asked with a puzzled look. Husband, do you think I look good in this dress? Zhang Yuxi blinked and said playfully. Lin Feng really didn't know whether to laugh or cry, the little thoughts of girls. Of course it looks good. My wife looks good in anything she wears. Lin Feng smiled and said immediately. Tisk. Men's mouths are deceitful. Flatter me. Zhang Yuxi listened to what Lin Feng said, pouted her lips and said deliberately jokingly. Hey. My wife is the most beautiful. It's all wrong. I'm telling the truth. Lin Feng said with an unconvinced look. After all, Zhang Yuxi is a recognized school beauty. No one has been able to surpass her beauty so far. Who can see her and not be attracted by her beauty? There are so many people who secretly like her. Ha ha. Okay. I believe it. Zhang Yuxi couldn't help laughing when she saw Lin Feng's expression. Husband, come here. You wore this dress today. It matches my skirt very well. Zhang Yuxi waved her hand and said. Okay, I listened to my wife. Lin Feng hurried over to take the clothes and said. How is it? Does your wife have good taste? Zhang Yuxi said with a little pride. It's mainly because of my good taste. I chose you to be my wife. Lin Feng smiled slightly and said more proudly. Ha ha. Then the two of them laughed face to face. That's absolutely right. It makes a lot of sense. Then Zhang Yuxi said affirmatively. Oh, my little fool has learned to be naughty. Lin Feng said jokingly with a doting face. Then he picked up his hand and pinched Zhang Yuxi's little face. Zhang Yuxi hugged Lin Feng with a shy look. Afterwards, the two dressed up carefully and went out. Lin Feng came to the garage to get the car. He opened the door for Zhang Yuxi like a gentleman and fastened her seat belt. This is Lin Feng's habit throughout history, and it is only for Zhang Yuxi. Of course, there has never been another woman on his co-pilot. This is Zhang Yuxi's only seat. Lin Feng returned to the driver's seat and picked up a bottle of yogurt and handed it to Zhang Yuxi. My wife likes it. Lin Feng said. This brand of yogurt is Zhang Yuxi's favorite, so Lin Feng always prepares it. Yogurt can be seen everywhere in the car, at home, and at the company. Just because Zhang Yuxi loves it. Lin Feng's love for Zhang Yuxi is often reflected in some small details. Zhang Yuxi is often moved by Lin Feng's small actions. Girls pay attention to small details. Often, love for a person depends on the details, and not love is also the same. Lin Feng thought. How much Lin Feng loves Zhang Yuxi. Thank you, husband. Happy, Zhang Yuxi said with a dancing face. Husband, a kiss. Zhang Yuxi pouted and waited. Lin Feng smiled. This little fool always has some small actions that make him break his defense. So cute. He couldn't resist. Then he turned around and moved closer to Zhang Yuxi. He took a sip. He also scratched Zhang Yuxi's nose with his hand. This is also his exclusive action for Zhang Yuxi. Yeah, let's go. Zhang Yuxi said with a look of joy, while drinking the yogurt prepared by Lin Feng for her. Happiness is just like this. The rain falls in the old hometown and the grass and trees are deep. I heard that you are still guarding the lonely city. The sound of the shepherd's flute in the suburbs falls in that wild village. It is us who are destined to take root. Listening to the laughter of youth makes many people envious. At this time, Joe's song was playing in the car. And this song was written by Lin Feng. Of course, this was also the one Zhang Yuxi chose to play. She has an appreciation and admiration for Lin Feng. She thinks Lin Feng is a very outstanding and talented person. Well, my husband is great. Zhang Yuxi hummed along with the song and muttered. Every time she heard this song, her first reaction would be to praise Lin Feng. Honey, where are we going? Zhang Yuxi suddenly turned her head and asked. Let's go to a popular check-in place. The environment there is very good. There are delicious foods. Then, I'll take you shopping later. Okay. Lin Feng said calmly. Yes. Listen to you. Zhang Yuxi nodded obediently and responded. After all, as long as she travels with Lin Feng, she basically doesn't need to do too much strategy. She doesn't need to prepare anything. Because Lin Feng will arrange all the itineraries. So Zhang Yuxi will feel very at ease when she stays with Lin Feng. Lin Feng also often looks like a domineering president. He handles all the things well and doesn't need Zhang Yuxi to worry too much. Therefore, Zhang Yuxi doesn't need to use her brain when she goes out with him. She is spoiled like a princess. Lin Feng drove the car seriously. Zhang Yuxi entertained herself in the co-pilot. Looking at the scenery outside the car window. Music was playing in the car. Warm sunshine. Accompanied by a slight breeze. And most importantly, she is surrounded by the person she loves. Everything is just right and beautiful. This feeling is like going back to the time when we just fell in love. My heart is full of expectations. More than an hour later, the two came to the internet celebrity check-in spot. Zhang Yuxi was attracted by the environment in front of her. It is mainly pink, with white as an auxiliary. Like small islands. There are also cacti, which echo the pink. There is also a large area of lavender planted next to it, and what comes into view is the endless purple. It is perfectly combined with the blue sky far away. The beauty is self-evident. The romantic atmosphere filled the air at once. This is also Zhang Yuxi's favorite lavender. She was still sitting in the car and couldn't wait to get off the car and take a good look. Lin Feng looked at her dotingly. After getting off the car, Lin Feng took her hand and walked together. Husband, how did you find this place? It's beautiful. Zhang Yuxi said excitedly. Beautiful, right. It's fun today. Lin Feng smiled and said. I will take you to see more beautiful scenery in the future. When we have a little holiday, I will take you to other provinces. See the beautiful mountains and rivers of our China. Then Lin Feng spoke. Yes, okay. Zhang Yuxi nodded quickly and responded with a joyful face. Wow. My favorite lavender. Zhang Yuxi hugged Lin Feng beside her excitedly. Lin Feng was probably the only one who knew how much she liked lavender. That's why he specially took Zhang Yuxi to see her favorite scenery today. Zhang Yuxi's eyes suddenly became moist. Silly, are you unhappy? Lin Feng touched her head and said. No, I'm too happy. Zhang Yuxi said in a crying voice. Lin Feng was also amused by the little fool beside him. The reason why Zhang Yuxi likes lavender so much is because the flower language of lavender is waiting for love, waiting for hopeless love, purity, gratitude. She thinks this is very romantic and beautiful. It is also the love she longs for. It happened that she met Lin Feng. She felt that her love with Raymond Lam was just like the endless lavender. She waited for Raymond Lam and started an endless love journey. Simple and pure. She was also very grateful for Raymond Lam's appearance in love. Because of Raymond Lam's confession, his persistence, and his warmth. Her heart was filled with expectations and hope. Lavender was like her lucky clover. The endless purple made her feel like she was in a romantic purple ocean. Chapter 1425 I believe in you. Honey, thank you. Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng affectionately and said. Silly. When we really have time, let's go to the Provence lavender farm. There is no end to the lavender there. Okay. Lin Feng said with a doting look. As long as it is something Zhang Yuxi likes, he will do his best to satisfy her. Yes. Zhang Yuxi just nodded. Because now the lavender in front of her is enough to attract her. The faint fragrance of flowers in the wind, the colorful ocean composed of flowers. This powerful visual impact is so dreamy that it is incredible. It's like being in a paradise. Honey, accompany me to walk in the lavender, Zhang Yuxi said while holding Lin Feng's hand. Then Lin Feng took her hand and strolled in the ocean of lavender, walking slowly along the path. It's so beautiful. Honey, do you know the legend behind lavender? Zhang Yuxi said. Well, I'm not sure. Wife, tell me. Lin Feng said with a puzzled look. He was willing for Zhang Yuxi to share with him what she liked. Only when you love someone very much will you want to share with them. If you don't even have the most basic desire to share, then love is decreasing. Zhang Yuxi loves Lin Feng enough to share the things she thinks are beautiful. So every time Lin Feng would listen very patiently. It's like this. Zhang Yuxi said slowly. In ancient Provence, there was a beautiful girl. One day, she was picking buds in the cold valley alone. On her way home, she met an injured traveler from afar who asked her for directions. The girl held a bouquet of flowers in her arms and looked at the handsome young man affectionately. At that moment, her heart was occupied by the young man's passionate smile. Despite her family's opposition, the girl insisted on letting the young man stay in the guest room at home to recuperate until he recovered. As the days passed, the young man's leg injury healed, and their relationship heated up rapidly. On a slightly cool morning, the young man wanted to say goodbye and leave, but the girl didn't want to go with the young man despite her family's opposition, to the young man's hometown full of roses. Before the girl left, the old lady in the village held a bouquet of newly opened lavender, allowing the infatuated girl to use this newly opened lavender bouquet to test the young man's sincerity. This story is a bit long. Husband, did you listen carefully? Zhang Yuxi looked at Lin Feng and said. Yes, honey. Keep talking. Lin Feng responded gently. How could he not listen carefully to what Zhang Yuxi said? Maybe there will be an exam after the story is over. Lin Feng thought to himself. Zhang Yuxi didn't say much else and continued to talk about the legend. It is said that the scent of a bouquet of lavender will cause unclean things to form. It was the morning when the valley was full of lavender. Just as the young man took the girl's hand and prepared to travel far away, the girl threw a bouquet of lavender hidden in her coat on the young man. Just like that, a burst of purple light smoke gathered and dispersed. The cold wind could be faintly heard in the valley, as if the young man was whispering, I am your heart that wants to travel far away. The girl was left alone and melancholy. Not long after, the girl disappeared. Some people said that she followed the fragrance of the flowers to find the young man. Some people said that she was also transformed into a wisp of light smoke by the young man and disappeared in the valley. So, the appearance of this flower represents love and commitment, just like its flower language, waiting for love. Okay, the story ends. Zhang Yuxi said with a smile. Isn't it dreamy? So seeing the endless lavender feels like a dreamy ocean. There is no end in sight, and hopeless waiting. Then Zhang Yuxi continued to speak. It's really dreamy. But I won't let you wait. I'll take you to the ends of the earth. We will only have romantic love. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows, his mouth slightly raised, and said, Hubby, hug me, Zhang Yuxi immediately said coquettishly. Lin Feng quickly picked her up, spinning in the sea of lavender. The whole surrounding was echoing with Zhang Yuxi's laughter. Hubby, take a picture for me, Zhang Yuxi said. Then she ran to the front and posed. Lin Feng took his mobile phone and clicked. He took a lot of pictures. Zhang Yuxi ran over excitedly and picked up the phone to check. Oh, this. The beautiful girl was speechless. Hubby, what are you taking pictures of? Are my legs so short? And, look at this one. The wind blew my hair to cover my face and you didn't remind me. Zhang Yuxi complained angrily. Ah, this, isn't it good? My wife looks good in any photo. Lin Feng said more and more without confidence. Passers-by couldn't help laughing when they heard the conversation between the two. My boyfriend is the same. Ask him to take a photo. I'm so angry. Suddenly a passerby said excitedly. It seemed that he had finally found an outlet to vent. He took the opportunity to complain about the boyfriend next to him. Haha. That's right, Zhang Yuxi also shook her head helplessly and responded. Sure enough, all men in the world are the same. Straight men take photos. It seems that Lin Feng's photography skills need to be cultivated. The two spent the whole afternoon in laughter. Wife, I'll take you to dinner. Let's leave now. It's time for dinner when we get there. Lin Feng said. Okay then let's go. Zhang Yuxi responded. So, The two left hand in hand. When they walked out of the lavender manor, Zhang Yuxi was still reluctant to leave and looked back from time to time. What she missed was this beautiful and romantic place. Lin Feng naturally saw through her little thoughts. Okay, wife. As long as we have free time, I will accompany you whenever you want to come. Okay. Lin Feng said with a doting look on his face. Yeah, you said it, as long as I want to come, you will accompany me. Zhang Yuxi smiled happily and said. Of course. Don't worry. I always keep my word. Lin Feng said seriously. Indeed. Since being with Zhang Yuxi, he would do everything he promised Zhang Yuxi, including any promises he made to her, and Lin Feng would fulfill them one by one, never breaking his promise. So in this regard, Zhang Yuxi never questioned Lin Feng. She chose to trust him 200%. I believe you. Zhang Yuxi said firmly. It was concise and to the point, just a few short words, and that was enough. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.